Jimmy D. Brooks. Jimmy, thanks for joining us. I'm going to let you take it wherever you want to go.
Well, and even though the history, my involvement with the Lacy breed, my family moved to Marfa Falls in January of 1956. And my neighbor had a long-haul trucking deal. He hauled hay, and he'd hire me and my older brother to help him unload hags. I was 12 years old. And I went out, and the first load we delivered was on Mr. Clyde Lacy's ranch. Now, at the ripe old age of 12, I thought I knew every breed or dog that existed. And I was going to impress this gentleman with my thorough knowledge of dogs. And this little female Lacy, tricolors, female come trot across our branch yard. She might have weighed 17, 18 pounds, and probably about maybe 17 inches tall. And I asked her, "Sir, is that dog part black and tan hound?" I am certainly proud I was on top of that trailer truckload of hay, because I think the gentleman would have slapped me if he could have raked me. He's, "Hell no, boy. That's a Lacy dog." I said, "Oh my God, what is a Lacy dog?" Well, that summer, my dad brought me home a puppy. It's half Lacy and half leopard. What as good a cow dog as you didn't want to see, but that was the meanest rascal that ever drew breath to me. And that was my first experience with the Lacy breed. And I had them on and off all my life till I went in the Navy. And I made my third and final tour of Vietnam, came home, got married, and I acquired me a black and tan hound. And I run on this dog jockey that wanted that dog, and I wasn't too hard-pressed. I wanted to get rid of her. He offered to swap me a male Lacy puppy, and I swapped with him. And I wondered why he waited till dark to bring it to me. And I looked at that pup, and I thought, boy, this is about the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Big-eyed little thing. Got him in the house and looked at him, and he was snake bit. His head was all swelled up. But he lived over it. Turned out to be one of the best Lacys I ever owned. And my wife and I raised him ever since. And I just decided this year, I'm 82 years old, I can't work my dog like they need to be worked. And so I gave them to my daughter and son-in-law. They live on a big ranch, and they can use the dogs where they were meant to be. And as far as the Lacy family, I've known a lot of the descendants of the Lacy family, and Miss Helen Lacy Gibb was a good friend of mine. And I got a handwritten letter from hers, and there's some controversy that people have said that the Lacy breed was originated in Arkansas, started in Arkansas, and they finished it when they got to Texas. It's the only documentation I could ever find about any dogs they brought with them, which is, oh boy, and this is Miss Helen Lacy Gibbs' words here. A family friend had given Arthur 2 fine hunting hound pups, and it was not about to leave those pups in Arkansas. Well, the bottom line was the puppies got footsore and they couldn't keep up the wagon, so he talked his mother into letting him take his socks off, and he put one of his puppies in each sock and tied them to the pack mule, along with the chickens and everything else. Well, somewhere the mule spooked and took off, scattering stuff everywhere. They had to make camp and wait till the next morning. Roosters started crowing, so they could find the pack mule and get packed up and get back on the train. I have it right here. This gift said my father, John Lacy, often took off with his family's cross of a pet wolf and their greyhounds to go hunting with his Uncle Alex Conover's hunting hound. Descendants of those pups Alex's father, Walter, had brought to Texas from Arkansas. And that right there tells you exactly what the cross was. The cross between Sighthound, probably Greyhound, and the hounds that they brought with them when they came down from Arkansas. Sean and I were just talking about the Lacy, the way they were bred. I've seen the remains of the pens that they penned these hogs in. And they were made of cedar posts standing straight up and down, about 7, 8 foot tall, in a circle. There was a gate in the front of this round pen, and the dogs would round this sounder of hogs up and get to boar hogs chasing them. They would lead them through this gate into this pen. And the cowboy right up behind me closed the gate. In the back of this pen, there was a window 5 foot off the ground. If this dog could not flat-footed go out that window, he didn't live long enough to round up another batch of hogs. That was one of the reasons I think the Lacy evolved to be about 18 inches tall and weighed about 40, 45 pounds. Those were the ones that lived, and they only bred the ones that lived. And those were the ones that lived long enough to breed. And that's the reason they evolved to be that size. And the temperament, I was telling Sean, there's only 3 things, and a lot of things I say, and I'll start this with, in my opinion. In my opinion, there's 3 things that make a good Lacy dog. Number 1 is conformation. First off, he's got to look like a Lacy. Number 2 is temperament. If I try to pet that dog and he tries to rip my arm off or he lays down and pees on himself, that's not good at all. And number 3 is working ability. And I've never had a problem in my 70 years of raising the Lacy dogs, getting all 3 of those qualities in a well-bred Lacy.
Right there on that point, we talk about the aggressiveness versus I'm sorry, I was stuck on that you just said that, and I have built this temperament chart, and I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but I'm like the strike of your thunder. It's funny, I told you when we came out, every once in a while somebody say, "Cockrell, you don't know what you're talking about. Jimmy Brooks is the man." And I was like, have you noticed what I say is kind of similar to the stuff he says? You think I might know him before you start spouting off on the internet?
But Sean was talking about being aggressive.
So this is the temperament chart that I put together. So everything that you guys see coming from me, I don't just make this stuff up. I test these dogs, and I've been talking to this man for over 20 years. Because this is my new temperament. You guys may have seen this. Okay, so this, I spent 20 years putting down in documentation what this man has been telling me. This is the one that pisses on you, pisses too shy, and this is the one that bites you. Now, this has nothing to do with the wolf-coyote debate. We can have that in a moment.
Yeah. Okay.
But you see here, if you got on one end of the spectrum, this is just an analogy. This does not have anything to do with what the breed was made up of. But you get your dogs are going to pee on you here, get cold, they get too timid. As what Jimmy just said. If it's too timid, it's not going to work for you. If it's too aggressive, it's going to bite you.
And I think a lot of people use hog dogs, which was one of the things Lacy was bred for. And I think the main mistake a lot of people make is they run too many dogs and they run too aggressive dogs. I've killed lots and lots of hogs, good boar hogs, with 1 dog, 2 at the most. And I think that 1 dog, a good Lacy dog, is a bay dog to start with. And they would bay that boar hog up. And if that hog didn't break, that's all they knew their job was to hold him. Now, if he broke, they had good enough enamel in his backside to make him stop and turn around and sit down. But once they stopped him, they were not going to put a tooth on him again until I got up there and got him taken care of. And I didn't let anybody hunt with me that was a gun. I didn't trust anybody else shooting around my dogs. But I think the dog's too aggressive, if there's too much pressure on that hog, that's when the dog's going to get cut and generally killed. So the dog, I think a well-bred Lacy knows what they can handle. I know my dogs on the small hog, they'd eat him plumb alive. If it's a big old tusher boar, they just stop him.
They didn't shoot him?
Yeah, but
Did you call out or anything, or did you have a spotter with you?
no, I ain't by myself.
And you just wait for the dogs to move, or did you call them out and did you let them know you're going to shoot them?
I tell them get back.
Back? Okay, back. Okay.
The last hog, I carried 22 pistols. That's what I killed most of my hogs with. And that old red dog named Beast. And I tell him I was Beast, get back. And he'd step back out of the way. I'd draw my pistol and I'd shoot him. Well, I'd generally draw my pistol and then I'd tell him to get back. The last boar he bayed, I pulled my pistol out and he turned around and looked at me and walked off. I said, oh, I wasn't quite ready yet. And he knew. When I pulled that pistol, the next thing I was going to tell him, get back.
He knew the game. He knew what to do.
We did it so
You
many
didn't tell
times.
him. No, you didn't even need to tell him get back because he'd done it so many times. And I just see everywhere. People trying to tell the dog and trains exactly what to do. But that dog, Beast, understood the objectives. So you're pulling up a gun. A good gun dog knows exactly what a gun is and
He was
does.
like the results fiction to be.
And knows how to work around that and what the end game is and how to get it on the tailgate.
That's one of the things I tell everybody that ask me, how do you train these dogs? And I don't consider myself a dog trainer by any stretch of imagination. I finally came to the conclusion, I just tell them, keep the dog with you. They will learn what you're doing, the way you're doing it, and then your temperaments and everything. I think sometimes my old trap line dogs knew more about what I wanted to do than I did. But they did it so much, they learn. Like Sean said, his repetition, they know what's going on.
So when you and I have talked a lot, you know I'm a cattleman, and you and I have talked about this many times. But I think in the cow dog world, the Lacy is different, and I do think one of the things that we can get from Jimmy is understanding how the Lacy is different, and that it is different. If you try to work a Lacy like a border collie, that is disastrous. It just doesn't. It's a totally different instinct. The Lacy's got nose. All the border collie has is all eye. You get cattle in the brush, go round them up. So notice on all these border collie videos that you see, usually the cattle are in a pen, and if they're in an open pasture, it looks like Ireland, with no trees. So a Lacy dog, really, a border collie would not probably do. I see lots of guys go from border collies to Lacys, but then they try to go back and give the dog 500 commands.
On that note, I believe a border collie, it is bred for centuries to herd. And it's wired into their brain. That's the only thing they know is to herd. A Lacy dog was bred to be an all-around dog. And I think a Lacy can and will do multiple jobs. You can teach them anything that you want them to do. And I think you expose them to what you want them to do. And they will learn that.
If they've got the right temperament.
Yeah,
Back to Exhibit A.
exactly.
Not too timid, where they're scared of everything. Not too aggressive, where they're just running around high-headed. Not listening.
See, I believe if you breed a biting dog, you're going to get a biting dog. I've seen it many, many times. And Lacys, people say, I've never seen a Lacy that wouldn't bite you. I said, well, they were bred from biting dogs. Because mine, I've never owned a biting dog. I'm Lacy. I won't allow it.
Sort of wrecks your day, doesn't it?
Yeah, I had one that bit me. I didn't raise a dog. She never did it again.
Yeah. Well, I think the part of it is that you have there's a genetic frame where that dog could be. I call it a life of crime. If you've got a really aggressive dog and you don't get control of it, he's going to go the wrong way. You can't just give a dog like that love and no authority. He could become a biting dog. But then in the Lacy breed, I've seen a lot, and I'm not sure where it comes from. We could talk about that, but I've seen where they're just too aggressive. And I think some of that comes from, and this is why it's so important to have your wisdom. And I've had the benefit of it for 20 years. If you think it's only aggression, and that's the only thing you got to worry about in your breeding, I think you're completely missing the boat. And I've done it. 2 or 3 generations down the line, yeah, you got a dog that'll bite, that won't listen, and all it's got is aggression. And we just laid the groundwork for this discussion. We need dogs that can figure stuff out and understand the game, not just be aggressive.
They say a puppy will be born knowing to a certain extent what both his parents knew. And I had 2 dogs, one was Smokey and Peanut. Now, I could leave a dog box open and I'd put Smokey back up Pecan. He'd go right in that dog box and lay down. He would stay there until you called him out. Peanut, if it was raining, sleeting, snowing, it didn't matter. He'd go right up on top of that dog box or up on top of the cab. He would not go in his dog box. I had 2 of those dogs puppies. When they were big enough to ride, I put them in the truck. Smokey puppy went straight to that dog box. Peanut's puppy went straight up on top of that dog box. Just exactly, and they did like turning on a light.
They definitely will have a similar tendency framework. Now, that'll be spread across the spectrum, but that behavioral type thing is real important when it comes to the natural baying ability.
You know, I think you basically get what you breed. So, you know, you breed a sorry dog, you're probably gonna get one.
Yeah.
And now I've been hammered on a lot when I had breeding. But every breeder dog that's ever originated was line bred to get to that spectrum. My breeding program, in my mind, I was looking for the perfect Lacy dog, which there is no such thing. It does not exist.
Just remember, this is the picky son of a gun that put that program in my head. So don't take offense. We're going to look at these dogs realistically.
But it's just what I remember when I was a kid on a lot of Lacy ranches I've been on, and watching dogs look like them, and that's just what I've always tried to stay with. Let's say there are three things that I've always worked for, and I've never had a problem getting all 3 of them.
Well, let's dig into the 3. I guess let's start right here with ears. And by the way, have we ever had crosswords with each other?
No. I disagree, but
yeah, all the time. We disagree on ears, or we're about to disagree on ears right now with smiles on our faces.
Yeah.
No fight. I'm not going to get my buddies to go attack him. He's not going to get his buddies to come and attack me. See, if you're doing that, it's likely that you're part of some sort of not productive situation.
I've always told people there's nothing we can do about what happened 100 years ago, 50 years ago, or yesterday. We do have control over what happens to the dogs from today forward. We have control over what we're breeding, and I think we need to get, in a perfect world, I would say one set of standards for all the Lacy dogs. It's never going to happen. Yeah. Because everybody has a different idea. I've seen some god-awful looking blue dogs that people call Lacys. And it's whatever the breeder told that person that that's what a Lacy dog should look like. So that's what they feel like every Lacy should look like.
So Jimmy, I want to. This is you're like a really kind man. You want to work together and stuff. I'm not really good in clubs, you know. I mean, I'm not either anymore. You know, but this whole idea that we got to decide that, I think this will help you too. I always say, prove it. Do not waste any breath. If you want to say this is the perfect Lacy dog, do what this guy did. Go out there and prove it. Use those dogs, prove it. And right now we're in 2026. I'm shooting a lot of video, and I have been for years. And people watch my video, and they watch it happen right in front of them. Oh, that was wrong. No. The cows were in the pasture, in the brush. They dug them out of the brush, and they put them in the pen. That, by definition, mathematically, that is correct. So I feel like that all the clubs and the cliques have decided, that this is the way it's supposed to be, and then they start fighting. But within the breadth of genetics with the Lacy dog, it's an American breed. I'm white, but I'm not Irish. This is the example I used earlier. I'm not, maybe not a Irish and white, but somewhere in there may be something. But the point is, this idea that a dog has to be a certain breed to do a certain thing, or that the Lacy has to do it the way the other breed does it, is just absolutely, we just proved that with the Border Collies. But if I look at the problem that's being solved by cattle ranch and cattle work with the dog, I think Dwayne Durham's out here, by the way, so he may have something to say about this. Or Dwayne Durham is another man that's taught me a lot of stuff, and he's out there. I saw him earlier. But if the Border Collie is going about it this way with eye and all that herding that's been just branded. So first of all, the Border Collie is sort of limited to that. A Lacy's not limited to that. So the Lacy is a bay dog, and you're going to put control on that bay. And so one of the things that I see a lot of these, I guess, bay dog hunter types, hog hunters and stuff, the Lacy is very different in that it's a bay dog. In, out, and around. In, out, and around. It's going to antagonize this animal. And I just see, especially from the hog and kind of the wild cattle roundup community, I see a lot of this just aggression, people high-fiving, it's like more, and just pigs are squealing, or cows are moving, dogs are getting kicked off. It's like that, for me, that day that you shot those 5 hogs with Beast, 4 or 5 hogs you shot with me, I mean, you're by yourself. Didn't take 10 guys to go wrestle that hog to the ground. Didn't take 6 or 7 or 8 dogs. No dog. Did Beast get hurt that day?
Nope. Never, and he's never been killed.
So there's a different way, and I think it's just why I'm so happy that we're doing this, Jimmy, and you've guided me for years on this. I would encourage everybody to look at that. The Lacy's a unique breed. It goes about things a different way, and it's a bay dog. It's not a catch dog. Now, the hog hunter, what they're going to say is they're going to get away.
And we had a lot of hog hunters ask me, what kind of catch dog do you run? That's a 17 HMR. I don't catch nothing. I shoot them.
I had a hog hunter out here the other day. I posted a video. Some of you guys out there probably saw it. I mean, hog hunter Calvin, he's out here. And, man, I told him, I said, look, if the hog's in the brush and that dog is not pressuring it too much, but it's holding it there in and out and around, if you got catch dogs, fine, and 5 buddies and a couple of catch dogs, great. Enjoy it. But if you're just sitting there, and the hog is bayed and held by your dog, you can shoot it, maybe call out, maybe say get back, or maybe the dog learns the process, and then you're done. So I think that's something a lot of hog hunters should consider when they're working with Lacy dogs, and I think they are considering it. And I'll give you a couple of examples. And I've talked to a couple of guys that coached me, and I'm not a big hog dogger, but I have gotten hogs with my dogs, with no catch dogs, with guidance from people like Jimmy, and there's a couple other guys, Trey Wood and Richard Bruner, and these guys were all, well, by the way, they were trying to tell me to get a catch dog, and I was like, I didn't have the time for it or the desire for it, but we ended up getting a few hogs, and now I see a lot more people doing this, where you just shoot the hog. Yeah, you miss the part where you're Rambo, but how tough are you really? You're putting a knife in that hog. It's got a pit bull earring on both sides.
Well, I felt that using killing a hog with a knife one time. I was out in pasture and this sow come across there, and I grabbed it 25-06 and she was running straight away from me. I just cut her ribs. And I bailed out, and this pup I had was gunshot. So he was out of the toolbox. I said, well, Chip come out of there and she took after her. I said, I don't have time trying to get that pup out of there. But here he come past me, and they bayed that sow up in a brush pile there. I received her ticket. And I looked at it, and I said, I can't shoot that hog just 25 walks. It scared that pup to death. I thought they tell me about killing with a knife. So I get my pocket knife out. And I looked at it, and I said, that blade ain't here long enough for this deal. So I slipped around behind this hog, and I got in there, and I stabbed her right behind the shoulder, and I jumped back out of the way. And the hog acted like it didn't even beat it. So I said, oh, it's not bad. So I reached there, and I probably like to cut her front leg and pull him off when I come up. I killed him. I was telling the hog hunter about it. He said, you don't understand. He said, you got a pet catch dog hanging off that hog's ear before you stick him around now. But you didn't tell me about that. I never killed another one with a knife.
Well, so now back up, because this is probably maybe one area where we disagree, but I can't have a gunshot dog. I can't have it on this ranch unless it's in the bedroom with mama sleeping.
Yeah.
It can't go on the ranch with me if it's gunshot. And one of the first things I read about the breed, and I don't know if you were involved in this at all, but it's said in one of the breed descriptions, I think for the UKC or something, that they have a tendency towards gunshyness.
I think that comes from the way the puppies were raised. This puppy was 8 months old when I got him. Now, with my puppies, I start feeding them canned dog food when they're 4 weeks old in a metal pan, and I'll empty that dog food out, and I'll take that can and I beat it on the side of that feed pan, making noise. And I feel like they associate that noise with something pleasurable, like eating. They're not going to be gun shy.
Well, there's certainly a process, but let me back you up to your first point. Mama gun shy, daddy gun shy, baby gun shy, possibly.
Yeah.
But damn sure, don't take two of them that are gun shy and put them together and think it's going to work itself out.
Probably going to get a gun shy puppy.
And I think I have seen so many of them in the breed, and if I had to criticize this breed, that would, well, who am I to criticize? However, it's clearly a hunting breed. In my defense. So raising gun-shy Lacys, I don't know, what's your opinion? To me, there's a genetic propensity in the way you raise them. And I do like you, I don't bang on the pot. You just shoot I'm lazy with you. I shoot the
22 shorts or 22 or just anything to make noise.
22 longs are so much cheaper. 22 short,
Yeah.
you have to pay more for less bullets. I just use the 22 longs at cheapos and just shoot over them and get them. But what I've noticed, tell me, like, I used to have some from a litter that just couldn't recover. Like after the gunshot shocked them. Like, so a lot of them will hear it and they'll look around and stuff, but then they just come right back and you can pet them right after. But I've seen a lot of pups in my day, and I haven't had any here on this ranch in quite a few years because I'm pretty adamant about it and making the breeding decisions. But I feel like some of them were just the same thing with the squat, the too timid. On the too timid side, I feel like the gun shyness starts to crop up in this area. Of course, it can be anywhere, but that's what, so I just feel like that there has to be some genetic steps taken. But I guess you haven't had a problem. You feel like all the Lacy pups that you've had could be conditioned to be gun steady. But you got that one 8 months old. Thank God.
This one I got 8 months old.
Okay, well, this may be where this may be a point where we disagree a little bit. I feel like it's a dog has too much gun shyness. I've had one, and I tried to work everything. I was 100 yards away, just down here in this pasture here. I had my hand in the back of a UTV with the dog that we're beautiful, just everything. Great dog. I liked her, and we did a mountain together. And I would go, but she was gun shy. So I'm just, so upset. Like, what am I going to do? I rehomed her. And she's very happy today, but she just couldn't work out here. But I went 100 yards down here, shooting like a whatever shotgun. I can't remember. Anyway. I could see all the way over there, 100 yards away, and I had him with raw meat. I'm trying all the tricks, the conditioning tricks, and he's sitting there with raw meat. And after I fire that gun way down the road from her, she would just go down on her stomach in the back of that UTV and would not eat meat. He'd just hold it right in front of the nose. And that is a genetic disturbance.
I think
somehow that it overcomes your desire to eat raw meat. Well, at the end of the day, I think you and I are both, we're breeders. And a lot of times people always have a quick answer to train the dog. But I think for this discussion, for what I've been learning from Jimmy and what I'm trying to do here, is I got to do my job. It's not, it's a Lacy. You should have banged on cans in the food bowl when it was young. And I'm like, no. I'm going to go ahead and shoot over it. First of all, if you're a hunter, we're not going to even talk about the dog. Send it to an active companionship situation.
I think the Lacys are more individual. They're not cookie code. I think they're individual dogs, and they have individual traits. And I raised my dog just like I did my kid. If I could talk to them and get the job done, then that's what I did. If they need their butt whipped, they'd get their butt whipping.
Let's keep going on temperament then. Then we'll come back to the physical. We'll come back to the physical characters. Let's keep going on temperament. We talked a little bit before. And it's so funny. Like, you come and say stuff, and I'm like, these are my things. And I know you told me through the years or whatever, but we end up on the same page so often. What you said to me earlier, it's like, you want that puppy to look at you. If that you get to have that puppy looking at you, explain that to me. Because, and I literally, y'all, I'm not making this up. About 2 months ago, I posted a video, and like, people thought I was probably a weirdo. It's like, look, see that puppy over there looking at me? And I just take the camera, zoom in, and he's looking at me. And he's looking, and he's watching where I move and where I walk. Talk about that a little bit.
I've had a lot of people ask me what I look for in a puppy. And I couldn't tell you because I've depended on it. But I know it when I see it. And I know when you look at that puppy and you talk to him, and if you don't get eye contact, I have a tendency to tell them if the lights are on and nobody's home, just leave that one alone. If that puppy don't make a connection when you're talking to it, and that puppy is not, you can tell when you look at it, if it's basically listening to what you've got to say. And I think that's very, very important to get that communication.
I agree. I mean, a train wreck temperament, that's just not what you want to start with to me. I know there's all this other stuff that you want too, but I think the fundamental, you got a good dog that has a good temperament.
You know, the fed dog don't respond to you talking to it or whatever. It's going to work. It may be a great working dog, but it's going to work because he wants to, and not because you wanted to. He's not going to work for you. He's going to work for himself. Basically like a border collie. And border collies are bred to herd, and that's what they're going to do.
But they're bred now. It seems like to do it on direct command.
Yeah.
To me, if a Lacy wants to move, and a cow wants to move the cow, the idea of telling it to go here, stop there, take 3 steps and stop there. If you're trying that with your Lacy, I'd just stop. I would just stop, because literally, if you see me working cattle, which can be seen on YouTube easily, it's like there's one going that way that's getting out of the line, folks. And it's come by, and that's it. That's it. I might give 2 commands in one thing what you're doing, and it's usually because the dog's over there doing something, and I see stuff unfolding over here and send it that way. The dog knows. As soon as the dog looks over to where I pointed, the Lacy dog knows. Oh, that was running off.
That cow's supposed to be back in the herd.
And then you talk about working for you. Once that dog, he wants it, and I got full license to raise hell. And for a Lacy dog, that's when you want it in the red zone.
Yep.
100% of the time in the red zone. I have issues with that. What say you? I mean, a lot of these guys, again, some of these young guys and stuff, they just want aggression. Never stop.
I've had people all my life tell me, you need to cross something Lacy with this or that. I said, why? Well, get you a bigger dog. Because I respond, why do I need a bigger dog? I said, I can stop a 300-pound boar with a 30-pound Lacy dog any day of the week. I don't need a bigger dog. A bigger dog is slower, and feed him more, takes a bigger pen.
Well, forget the food, so you got lots of money. He's slower, and to me, it's only a matter of time before that dog's going to get hurt badly or killed.
Yep.
So I thought about this earlier. I bounced this off Jimmy earlier. A Lacy dog, number one job, as we just defined it, the Lacy dog from the origination, the number one job of the Lacy dog is to stay alive.
Yep.
And the ones that didn't died. Now, you don't need to, to modern times, put it up for adoption. Get it to a good home where it can, be comfortable. But don't try to go bigger to try to stop a bigger animal, because you're never going to be bigger than a cow or a big boar. It's ultimately, sooner or later, you're going to lose that battle. And I feel like that's the hog hunting, the common day hog hunting stuff. Just like in the border collies, I think hog hunters get Lacys and they want they want to do exactly what they did with the other breeds of dogs they hog hunt with. And Jimmy told me this, like, early on. Jimmy would just look at the hog hunting world and he'd just feel like, Lacy is not a catch dog. A lot of them are getting hurt and killed. I do think that it's really important that we take care of leadership and insight on this. It's a bay dog. It is not. We want strong dogs. They got to be strong and muscular and all that, but not muscular enough to go and bite that cow. And I see this in the border collie world all the time now. The dog, and they're in a pen all the way. First of all, just you see something in a pen, it's practice. But the border collie don't bite the cow straight on the head and hang on. And the cow will flip it out behind it. Not someone can tell me that I'm wrong someday, but again, that is just like, for a bay dog, it's like, no. And if you want the cow to move, first you got to get it to stop and hold up the cattle, and then you want to move, then you can release the pressure and then get behind them and they can move. But that's sort of the world according to me. And I think Dwayne Durham's out there. I mean, this guy's coached me many times. Dwayne Durham has as well. Dwayne's actually a cattleman. Jimmy doesn't raise cattle, but Jimmy's been very involved with the Lacy dog world for years. So I go to him for advice. Let's use another example in this hog dog world. Is these hog hunters takes like 1/3 Lacy, 1/3 blackmouth cur, and then whatever 1/3 something else. And so it's first of all, Jimmy's always said, just raise a Lacy dog. If there's one dog that can do what you need. No, you're not gonna be able to catch it and stick it with a knife. But we just told you how you dispatch a hog with Lacy dogs at bay. It's something to try. Catch dogs are great. I'm just saying that sometimes, this is what Jimmy always told me. He may not remember he told me this, that the problem is that if you start running your Lacys with catch dogs and they start catching, but they don't have the full vest on and stuff like that, so they can get hurt. Something to think about.
I had a good friendly hog hunter, and he was one of those that liked bigger dogs. And he told me one time, said, I don't think the Lacy brothers would have culled a 50-pound working dog for a 35-pound non-working dog. I told him, I don't think so either. As a matter of fact, I don't think the Lacy brothers culled anything. The range hogs and wild cattle did the culling. They only bred the ones that lived. And those that lived long enough to breed stood about 18 inches tall and weighed about 45 pounds. They wanted fast enough and agile and smart enough to live. And I just believe that's the reason they evolved to be what they were. In today's world, I understand 99.9% of the people are not working cattle and they're not running hogs and they're breeding couch dogs. And I believe you can breed the working ability completely out of a breed within about three generations.
Well, I think we could level set here. This is the Lacy dog world. If you're just breeding Lacys and you don't hunt or anything like that, maybe take guidance from someone who knows what they're doing. But absolutely, just you could breed it out of them in a heartbeat. So that's why we got to be proving it. But here's one of the things that we disagree about. Mild disagreement. Jimmy's sure that statement about the dog size being the result of what survived this scenario. To me, I'm a younger man, a little bit younger, not that much younger, but anyways, this is great story time. But I'm right here on a ranch with 50 head of cattle right over there, just outside this front door. And so I do think that it's, but I just don't know about getting stuck on 18 inches. So that 18-inch number has to be proven. And there was another thing that I talked to you about this at one point years ago, just bouncing it off of you. But if you read about working dogs, they have different sizes for different brush conditions. So there are certain brush conditions where the dog's got to go under the brush. And then out here, we tend to have grass, that might be, it's probably not a bear. This year it might be, but, definitely up to your thighs. And so if you got an 18, what say you?
Well, I'm just sitting here thinking about that. And there's a world of difference between the middle 1800s and now. We have a lot more controlled environment that we work our dogs under now than what they did then. What they did then was what you caught out of the pasture, you better be able to handle it. today, just like in the bay pen, I think the bay pen is a good place to start a hog dog because it's a controlled environment. You know exactly what size hog you're putting in that pen, and you're right there in case something goes south. In today's world, like I say, and again, in my opinion, we have a lot more controlled environment that our dogs are working in. And we have a more varied environment too. Until the World Wide Web came out, you get within 100 miles of Marfa Falls in any direction, that people didn't even know what a Lacy dog were. They had no idea what they were. And I think I've made some mistakes in my life. You know, that one of them was going to Austin to help get the Lacy dog declared a state dog of Texas.
I hear that a lot. We could segue, right? I mean, because and I had one guy, I mean, because
People may or may not know, I'm running the National Lacy Dog Registry now. Jimmy runs, he's retiring now and passing on his daughter, the Lacy Legacy Registry. But anyway, I can't remember where I was going with that, but
There's a lot of people want that cute little blue dog as the state dog of Texas.
Oh, I know what I'm saying. Oh, I had this guy, Virgil. The guy got a dog for me. And so I had decided when I picked up the registry, and I got a lot of heat from internal, not the general public, because, they were calling Lacy dog, but they would say, it's incorrect and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, they passed two Texas state laws. For example, in this document, it calls it a blue Lacy. So that, from that to me, it's like, okay, so I just changed the name to blue Lacy, and then we have categories. So I added another thing. I set up this registry special for Lacy dog folks, which is complicated because we're all over the map and we're quick to just want to fight because that's wrong. But, I don't like to fight over the stuff that went through law because Jimmy and Lily had to go up there and convince them to pass this law and call it a blue Lacy. So it's kind of pointless for me to run around and decide, I think it's just a Lacy. It's wrong to call it blue Lacy. That's my...
Well, I was one of a group of people that went up there, and I was not the one that coined to be the blue Lacys. Because in my opinion, they are Lacys. It's a working hog to a Lacy hog dog. It's cattle are working in Lacy hog dog. It's like the Labrador. The lambs are Labrador retrievers. They're not a black lamb. They're not a chocolate lamb. They're not a yellow lamb. They're Labradors. Labrador retrievers. Same way I think the Lacy dog. I refer to them as Lacys.
But do you think... So the theory behind it, and I think it even says so in here, that bluing has two definitions, and it can result. The bluing gene, dog bluing, is a D. They represent it with a D, and non-dilution, I guess, is capital D, and diluted is little d in genetic code. So you get one from the mom and one from the dad. So Lacys are all double little d, and that gene in the entire dog world, including Weimaraners, but we're going to get Jimmy fired up about that here in a minute. The entire dog world calls that blue. So lots of dogs are blue, by the way. So Lacys are not related to Weimaraners. We're going to go through exactly why here in a minute. But anyway, that's the bluing gene. So there you go. So that's it. So if you have a red Lacy, that dog would be brown if it didn't have the bluing gene. So that's the way, and that's the way it talks about it in the.
I think the logic behind calling it blue Lacys, the blue is the dominant color. But I think the blue came from the greyhound or whippet, maybe both. I don't know.
what's your name?
Yeah. But I've had a lot of people tell me, the Lacy breed originated between a Weimaraner and some kind of collie. Well, there again, if they did their research, it was found Weimar became a breed in Germany in 1861. 3 years after the Lacy became a breed in Texas. The Weimar was not allowed to be exported out of Germany. The first ones that came to the United States was, I believe, in 1932. And that was 30-something years after the Lacy became a breed. So there was no Weimar. There may be Weimar in them now, but there was no Weimar.
How would Weimar get it then? I mean, can you imagine that there are
I think some people that have Weimaraners and like the look of that dog and get into Lacys, but I don't think there's a Lacy dog man on earth who thought, well, we're going to get a Weimaraner now. Like, not even, now they might get interbred with border collies. This is what I believe. If you, by the way, you can just call me a fool here, but I think back in the days, border collies were a predominant cattle working dog. They miss a lot of things that are needed in a brushy, open range situation. And Lacey's probably needed some of that, whatever, to somebody. And that's more likely a cross, border collie or pit bull for the hog hunters. Because again, we just talked about the hog hunters going, well, it just baited. It's like they wanted to go in there and catch, and that's where pit could come in. But where does some European fancy bird dog get into the Lacy genetics? I don't believe it. I don't think it's in here at all. And I've seen DNA tests, by the way. People post their DNA tests, and it'll say part this, but I didn't ever see anything that said Weimaraner.
Because what are they basing this DNA test on?
Oh, I'm not. We can talk about DNA tests. Yeah, but if it's a DNA test, think about all the points in a DNA test that come into a breed. That bluing gene, the one that blue, and then there's another one that makes it black. So if it's black and then the bluing gene, it will be a gray dog. And I think most Weimaraners are actually liver, even though still too, which is like a chocolate dog with the dilution on top of that. I mean, these are just not things that have anything to do with the Lacy breed. Well, it's not in there. I just can't imagine. Who would do that,
Just talking about the border collie being in the Lacy breed, I firmly believe that if we had a accurate DNA test that could go back far enough, you would find border collie, you'd find pit, you'd find Catahoula, and you'd find black mouse coat.
I thought we were going to disagree. See how gentle. See why we don't fight. You see, I do hear about this and disagree, and you see how I stated that, and then it turns out we're in agreement. I see a lot of these dog people. This would already be in a fist fight, and then we go get our buddies, and get Seabass to come kick his ass,
Back in the day, if they were working cattle, they were generally working the Lacys and Catahoulas or black mouse. Now, if they were working sheep, goats, they were generally working border collies and Lacys. Now, if they were working bull pasture, they were working Lacys and pit. Now, sooner or later, either accidentally or intentionally, those dogs got crossed. And the people that worked them didn't care. They were not looking at a registry. They were looking at working dogs. But they were breeding working dogs. And they worked for them. And
okay, well then, now that we're in agreement, I want to go one step further and be more risky. I have seen, if your Lacy's coming out with a big curled tail and a lot of flagging on it, and it always wants to drop down in a down position all the time, yeah, I see it and I like it, but I need to bounce that off because I need a dog. This is a Lacy dog, not a border collie. You need a dog that's got a good nose for the air scent, the ground, good nose. So some of the border collie traits are okay, but when they're just, I see a lot of them kind of get down a lot. Those border collies, they're bred. You see them like these little puppies, and they're like down, and they got like 5 pounds.
When I was 16, I was working on a ranch between Fredericksburg and Lando, Mark Moss Ranch. And this old boy had two, I can still see those, they were two of the prettiest female blue Lacys you ever seen in your life. And he had a registered border collie male. And he bred that border collie to both those Lacys. I got 2 pups. Every one of those puppies you could look at them and you could not tell them from the full-blood Lacy. I got 2 of them. Wild. He was the only human they'd ever seen. And they were not socialized. And last year, from the year before last, I was around mountain at the horse auction, and I seen this truck sitting there with 5 Lacy dogs in the back of it. And I hadn't seen that in years. I hugged all over after to find out who owned that truck. And I put my card under his windshield wiper. Ham and I were in Marfa trapping, and the old boy called me. He said, "This is Jerry Don Moss."
Oh, Jerry Don, I know him now. Yeah.
I said, "Jerry Don." I said, "Do you know a man named Mark Moss? He stayed with my grandpa, or my great-grandpa."
No.
And I told him about these dogs. He stole dog brought to my grandpa. And I bought a puppy from Jerry Don. I thought, who would have thought 64 years later I'd be buying a puppy from this guy's grandson?
That's funny. Jerry Don Moss is still very involved in the Lacy dog world.
Oh, yeah. He worked them dogs.
I sidetracked you, which is great, and we'll pick that back up. But I do want you to cover, because you went through some facts about whites on a Weimaraner and the dates. Can you go through that? I'm going to go get some iced tea, so will not interrupt you. You to explain to the audience.
Yeah.
I mean, look at dates. That the date the Weimaraner was even here, or
Yeah.
date. Keep going. I'm going to get some tea. I'll be right back.
Yeah, Weimar was declared a breed in Germany in 1861. And the first Weimar, it was illegal to export a Weimar. What I understand, only royalty could even own one. And the first ones were exported in 1932. They sent President Eisenhower about a Weimar. I believe that was in the 50s. And that, like I say, the Weimar didn't become a breed until 3 years after the Lacy became a breed. 33 years after the Lacy became a breed before the Weimar was ever allowed to be imported to the United States. And they could not be bred unless without permission from the registry in Germany. And the Germans that bred them to Weimars have a very strict breeding code. If you had a litter of puppies and one of those puppies did not meet breed standard, you destroyed the entire litter and you never made that cross again. They were very, very strict on them.
First, the Europeans are like they come by with a hypodermic needle and look at your pups, and the ones that don't, just right then and there. That wouldn't fly here. Here we're going to find a home for it, but it, if it didn't work, you can't stay. So
in time, what I see, and again, this is in my opinion, the problem I see right now is people want to breed what they've got in their yard. They do not want to cull anything.
Have you ever seen a breed? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go away and let Jimmy talk. Have you ever seen a breed with such a dead stud market as the blue Lacy dogs? I mean, why can I not? You go to any other breed and you just like, everybody got a badass stud and they got marketing documents on them and stuff like that. And I go to find a stud and I have a hard time getting someone on the phone. First of all, if they're not in the same club or they're in a club, it's like, oh, well, you're in that club, So first of all, those people are all out. So then we just cut the Lacy, you cut the Lacy world down into 1/5 of the dogs available to you anyway, that you won't get in trouble from sea bass for being a guppy that's non-compliant, and then on top of that, it's like, why are we not? And I've been pumping them out there. Y'all see me. You think I'm bragging? I am bragging. I have some good stud dogs, and you should look at them. And I'm proving them out. But getting somebody on the phone that can explain to you about the dog, that's hard too. Oh, look at idiot. I can't even get a picture. That's how bad the Lacy stud market is. I can't even, and they're like, oh, well, he won't stand still. I'm like, so that's what I'm saying. I think where is, like, if you go in the Labrador world, I mean, is this like, and they have a problem there too. That in the AKC world, the problem I see is that there's just too much focus on too few studs, and it isn't really a good stud. Because just because they won a bunch of shows, it's kind of like baby pageants, right? The baby that wins the baby pageant is the baby of the parents that spent the most money, took that 1-year-old to acting class. And literally, there is acting class for 1-year-olds, and it costs a bunch of money, and then your 1-year-old wins the baby pageant. Doesn't mean he's going to be Brad Pitt.
This is true. I sold a gentleman a puppy in another registry. He had called them about one. They didn't have anything. Well, after he bought one from me, they called him and they found him a puppy. He explained to me, where he found one. They wondered where he got it. They told me he got it from me. That was not a good thing to tell him.
Oh, yeah. A different club. Sea bass.
Yeah.
One of the sea bass's guppies got out of line.
Yeah, they just implied that I was not even a breeder. That's all right. I don't think too much of them either.
We just have to get back to proof. We just have to. The sea bass syndrome. So I consider the ranch a laboratory. Okay, so if I'm in here, I better be on the computer doing something productive for what I do when I'm out there. But I'm testing everything out here. And so the more time spent talking And then what you see is someone gets somebody that might be pretty good or whatever, and it's the sea bass syndrome. It's like the one bully and then the guppies. For every one bully that's done a little bit of dog stuff, but then he's I'm so bad, and they love to pick on weak people. You got soccer mom with a Lacy dog. I used to see that all the time in my Blue Lacy owners group. Just a great group of people, just awesome people. Some of these ladies have adopted failed Blue Lacy hunting projects. Rachel Colleen, all the way from Tennessee, picks up a failed, and these are good people. So we don't need sea bass going in there and picking on poor Lloyd, or I don't know, remember one of the Dumb and Dumber, whatever, that he's spitting the hamburger and all that. It's like now and then. So to me, for every sea bass, there's at least 5 guppies. But you can accelerate the power of the sea bass and use a couple sea bass together and put them in a club. And then it's like each sea bass can run like 50 guppies. And so you get this club that's coming at you. And all 50 guppies may not know much of what they're saying, So I'm not trying to be insulting, but it happens all the time. People come at me and they try to say, well, sea bass is the man. And I'm like, well, I just showed you that I'm the man and this is my dog and I'm proud of it. This did that and mission accomplished. If sea bass is over there just letting his guppies stroke his ego and hasn't proven anything, get out of the way. You might be able to beat me in a fist fight, but you are not going to be able to come at me when you have not proven that you're a working dog man or woman. And a lot of men do just talk, and the internet's here now, like we were talking about. So we need to prove our dogs. It's 2026. I don't have any. We are shooting this podcast on my cell phone, which is probably the same as all y'all's cell phones. So I always like to see a video so that we're talking about what's real, because I've seen just entire groups of people turn cultish because they don't have any real facts to go on. So you're just floundering. You got no proof. You see guys, kind of prove something, and you adopt that. But then it all just comes this conversation of hot air. So I do think it comes back to what you can, prove and show your dog. Just like I was debating with you about the 18-inch thing. That may have survived this, but that may be a little bit tough in the height of grass that I have here, and that dog might get killed here. Same scenario. But just draw 3-foot grass here with lots of mesquite trees and then clumps of oak trees in the middle of it, and a dog running around there trying to get a hog or a cow. It's concerning. They can. So anyway, I'm just off on a tangent.
Take has a new comment of some kind there.
Okay, we are gonna cover all the comments, even if we have to do follow.
Yeah, I told you.
First of all, let me just this. So you mean I talk about? I mean, it's proven himself. So when I started the Blue Lacy Owners group, first thing I was looking for, one, stop picking on the soccer mom. If you do it, I'm going to kick you in the nuts. And I know you're not a working dog man, or you're not as good as you say you are, or you wouldn't be picking on soccer man. You'd be trying to come together with other men like me and Jimmy and make better working dogs. But Dwayne Durham just shows up out of nowhere, and it's just like, oh yeah, here you go. And I'd be posting videos and like what I do, and I'm trying to do it all wrong, and then Dwayne would be just like, yeah, just do this. And I have my Dwayne Durham technique, by the way, because I used to be all type A like that when the cattle bunch up at the pen gate, and they don't want to go in because they know they're getting shots. And I'm like, well, I would go in there and try to get my dogs to be more and more aggressive, or they can get hurt, And I said to him, he's like, what am I? They need to push them in there. And then Dwayne said, no, they don't. They're going to go eventually. Your dog's completely. There is no behind. There is no escape to the pasture with my dogs behind them. They cannot leave that pen area. If they do, they will be brought back and severely punished and go back in there. You just wait. And I just put the paddle on the ground, put my chin on the paddle, and I just sit there and tell myself, I'm doing the Dwayne Durham here. And I just let the dogs just wait, and then eventually those cattle start to move through. And what Dwayne's comment is if you get the job done, it doesn't matter, in my opinion. And with cattle, to me, I figured it out. We move cattle through gates. Yeah, I know you bay them up and hold them there and rope them and build you a fire in the pasture and brand them. That's okay. I'll listen to that story, but I know you're not working cattle. Okay, we put cattle through gates, and it depends. So that's just kind of some me and Dwayne Durham's conversation. The hog hunting, I think we just talked about that. If you get it done, if you get that hog on the tailgate, I mean, you can sit there and think you're awesome for using a knife, but you got 2 pit bulls that not do it. Now, if you get it with a pocket knife,
Well,
Oh, that wasn't real smart. I figured out later that
better not.
I told Sean before we started this, I want to make sure everybody understands. When I talk about facts, I've got the facts here in front of me. Other than that, what I'm saying is, in my opinion, an opinion is like backsides. Everybody's got one, and most of them stink.
Can hear good. R.C. Beast and Pat's favorite Lacy dogs out of Robert. R.C. Palmer, did you pay him?
R.C. Coleman?
You pay him to say something about Beast and Patch?
Oh, R.C. and Cade and Colt raised Patch.
Oh.
That's,
He's not even bragging on you. He's bragging on himself.
he's bragging on himself.
I took the bait.
Yeah, them boys know what they know Patch.
Well, I knew Patch and Peanut. I remember when Peanut Pat got killed. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I'll see.
Patch told R.C. that his brother how to walk. No, but those boys know Patch well.
One that has the,
Well, yeah, okay. Let's go back. Was that Jake?
that's Jake that knows all the water comments, and then he had 3 more comments, but on there look like.
Okay. Well, we'll back up. I don't know how we're gonna get this done. We may be here till dark. Or I got a bed. That's about 2-inch bedrooms right back there. We have to finish in the morning. Now, yeah, especially if we go out and start looking at dogs and my pins. We're not going to have time to do that today, but I'm just glad to have you. This is the first time you've been out to the ranch. The water shy. And I know when I put together my temperament chart, see if you can get this right. So, let me see if that's okay. And Jimmy hadn't looked at this, so this is I'm springing it on him. I kind of am looking for all that shyness and all that. Jimmy talking about called squatting and pissing and timidity and the shyness.
Yep.
It kind of rings together, but not always. This is I guess a summation of hundreds of mini bell curves, and so I think you could take water. For me, you get a great hunting dog, you invest in it, you spend some time with it, you train it, everything. You get to the water's edge and it stops. I don't even get me started, Jake. We are cut from the same cloth, brother.
And
You've never seen a water shot Lacy dog, because I hear about it all the time. And when I remember when I started the Blue Lacy Owners Group, I would get, it's here, and it may have to do with how you raise them and exposure. There's some of that. But I have definitely evaluated pups just like I do with gun shyness to see. And there's a lot of dogs that will get in the water, but when you get them to leave the ground with all 4 feet, they'll hold up to where they can stand. And maybe, it's. But really, I need them to just go. Like if I tell you to go get something in the water, just go. And that's, or cross a creek, a river, and all this kind of stuff. And I see that on the more timid side, Jake. But Jimmy and I may be about to disagree. I see him over there collecting his thoughts. I can't do it like I can't do a gun shy dog, but it's been hard. I've had to work to get good water dogs. I have had to work because it's very common. Now, a lot of people used to tell me that their Lacys would not even get their feet wet.
I never had a problem with the Lacy in the water. Of course, in Menard County, I'd step over those hog troughs.
Well, I think there's a big difference. I had a guy, a guy had a dog up for dogs. He said, I said, does it swim? He's like, guy swims all the time. And I went there to get, to see the dog. And the pond was a very, very shallow mud hole. And the dog runs down there, gets in it, and he could walk all the way across.
Yep.
So there's definitely, maybe this is a genetic point. It should be conditioning too. I mean, I definitely do some training things, just like I'm doing with the gunfire and Jimmy's doing with the banging the pan. But there is definitely a genetic thing in dogs, a lot of dogs, most of Labradors, a lot of Labradors and stuff. I had a guy chime in on one of my things and said, I got a lab that won't swim and doesn't like to retrieve. And that goes to Jimmy's point. You can take the work out of a dog to screwed up breeding quickly.
Yep.
But yeah, it's real, Jimmy. I don't know why you haven't been exposed to it, or maybe you haven't. But the hesitancy to go in and swim,
is I've worked on that forever. And I feel like, by the way, when someone comes to me, why do I think I'm great? Yeah, I called out the ones that are not going to swim.
Yeah, if they don't do what you want them to do, there's no such question.
Well, I think it's overall general. So if you're raising dogs, it's state dog of Texas, so you're going to raise them. Because now it's the state dog of Texas, so we're coming back. We'll probably get back to the rest of Jake's water questions. But so this is where Jimmy's saying he's frustrated. They're making the state dog of Texas. You get a bunch of people breeding these dogs that don't hunt. So we can't breed just dog show dogs of Texas. Or just pet. I mean, we have to work cattle. We have to hunt hogs. We have to hunt birds. We don't. We gotta. You gotta tree stuff. I mean, what did I miss? You gotta track wounded game. I mean, this is not. Those are the fastballs. That's the 5 categories. What say you? Those are my 5 categories that I think when I look at anything, if I want to judge a Lacy dog, if it can't do, one of those, if not multiple ones of those. But those are the 5 main categories: tracking, wounded game, which is similar to the trapping, but the whole what the Lacy brings is all those other abilities to it. At the end of that trap line, they might need to be stopped.
I do a lot of real sort of soul searching. I always tell everybody that you need to work at Lacy, and I've got down to how do you define working? When I was 12 years old, I wasn't running hogs, I wasn't working cattle. So when I hit that creek bed, that Lacy was with me. And if that Lacy bait a cane or a possum or a squirrel or anything else, that brush pile, we stayed there all day long till they got that right to the outpouring. And I would come to the conclusion, working, especially keeping the dog with you and doing something that keeps him active, keeps him. I think you just got to keep the dog active.
If you keep it with you, was the advice I always got. And they would always say, keep the dog with you.
Yep. I could take my trap line dog, I could pull up to a gate, and I'd let him out to use the bathroom. They'd run around and pee on everything and jump back in the truck, let's go. And I could bail them out and tell them, put them up, boys. Hey, you better be serious. Because they left on a mission. They would be gone about 15 minutes. They'd come back. If I didn't say anything, they were gone again. If they'd gone more than about 15 minutes, I got up on the hill somewhere. I figured they were bait up out here. I didn't have tracking collars at the time. But if they were gone more than that,
but a Lacy's a mid-range dog anyway. I mean, if you don't have a tracking collar on your coon hound, it might be tracking a 5-day-old coon track.
Exactly.
And you'll be too far away. But a Lacy's gonna, to me, from the varmint side of things, or just a general, rodent hogs and everything, you're kind of working the closer areas. So if the dog's barking at bay, you didn't ever need a tracking collar, really, did you?
Yeah.
It's nice to know what's happening.
Yeah.
And then dogs don't bark at the end if the animal's dead sometimes. That's the other key thing for tracking collar.
Tell me only about 1 in 10 dogs obey a dead animal.
Oh, you think the percentage is that high?
I never did do a whole lot of tracking. Most of my ones were alive when the dogs caught them. It didn't stay that way very long, but they were put up.
But you explained to me that the trapping is similar to tracking.
Yes. The only difference is when you're tracking a wounded deer, you're generally running a blood trail. There's some blood. And I believe a wounded animal gives off a different scent than a healthy animal will. That's the only way I can explain a dog tracking something right through a herd of cattle. My dogs would be running the cattle on the drag right through a herd of cattle and come out and stay right on that one track. And the same.
But weren't your dogs trained off a cattle? I mean, you didn't let them go off a cattle ever.
They were broke off cattle unless I told them I could put them on cattle.
Well, I mean, see there, this is another thing that we've talked about for years, Jimmy, let's dig into it, is if you're doing a multidisciplinary dog, I mean, like a hog hunter is just going to train that dog off of cattle. But for me, if I get a hog
you know, it's a bonus, and my dogs are going to go up to that hog, and they're not going to mess with the cattle if we're doing something else. So it may be that scent was so good, or maybe it's just that that's what we're doing now.
I don't know. They used to tell me, you need to break them dogs from treeing cones. We're out here working cows. Keep them straight. Keep them straight on cones. But then I think, I don't have enough of any one thing in Menard County to keep my dogs straight on any one thing. There are multiple purpose dogs, and that's where
I think that's a good view, and that when you say that it's multi-purpose, and that's when guys were coming to me. That was a fledgling. I'm still a fledgling hog hunter. It's like, you got to catch dog. You catch dog. They're going to get away. Well, okay, we got it. They got away. You know, we'll go try it again. We'll go over to the other pasture. We'll drop the dogs over there. We'll try it again until we have success. It's not like I am a professional hog hunter, but you were a professional contractor, so maybe that's why you were getting.
That one hog knocked on the hog in the state of Texas anyway. See, there was one.
Well, that's right. Yeah,
There's 14 more standing there waiting.
Pruitt was water shot after getting knocked in the river as a puppy.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to get Jimmy's response to this. I see this stuff all the time. We literally make human psychology diagnoses of our dog behaviors. And I'm not saying that if your pup fell in the water when it was young, that didn't make it shy. But I see all these dogs get adopted, and Lacy dogs that are they're in this. They were born here, and they get adopted. And I can't tell you how many kind-hearted people the owner abused it. No, the owner went to comb his hair, and the dog squatted and pissed in fear. Possibly. So I think, so possibly this accident in the river be saying. However, I test these pups constantly. There is a genetic difference, and we have work. Jimmy's never had a problem, but if I went to Jimmy and I saw those ponds he was saying his dog loves swimming in, they may not even be deep enough for the dog. And if they go on the edge, they'll go on the edge and wallow around like pigs when they're hot. For sure, they will all do that. But I'm just saying, and especially when it comes to be something like, there's something in the water, like a dead bird, and I need them to go get it. I don't need a lot of hemming and hawing and a lot of lip. I need that. And so I think that there's work to be done, Jake, just getting to you on that. But I just think we have to be careful making human psychological excuses for animals, because these dogs have natural tendencies one way or another. Just because a dog's shy doesn't mean it was shy because it was beaten.
Yeah.
And just because a dog doesn't swim doesn't mean, okay, thanks.
That note right there, I've always said, the problem I see is people try to put human feelings in animals, and animals do not possess human feeling. I have dressed out deer before that had so many cactus under their skin, on their legs, just solid cactus. Now, if I had that many cactus in my arm, I'd chew my arm off trying to get them out. It did not affect that deer. I've had bobcats that had.
Well, you're talking about pain.
Yeah. Psychology.
Psychology. Pain is a direct point of psychology. But what I'm talking about, elaborate, machinations of some dog getting beaten when it was born shy. But if so I don't know about the pain scenario that you're talking about. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you.
But the mental psychology, I don't think animals possess the human ability to reason.
Okay, we're about to just reason. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, maybe a little, maybe some limited. But I will go back to one thing. I do feel like there's a love. I don't know if it's me just loving them and me projecting on that, and maybe it's really respect. I don't know what it is, but there is something emotional that's human-like. And, if you read the signs, I would say, he's just tricking you to get fed. No. I get any one of my dogs and we go out like two buddies, go do something, and we just,
they bond.
Oh, that's real.
They bonded with you. And that's one thing that I think a Lacy, I tell everybody, an older Lacy will work for you. but they will not work for you the way I say. And there again, in my opinion, that a puppy, you raise that puppy bonds with you, and it's going to work better for you, because that puppy will bond with one person or one family more than it will anybody else.
Do you think there's always a main person?
I think so.
But the bond can go across people. I've seen that happen.
Yeah, it can. They can bond with other people, but they won't. You know, I just don't believe they'll work as well as they will with the person that raised her, that bonded with her.
So what do you think about a working dog that you haven't bonded with?
There again, I don't think that dog will work for you. And there it was as well.
I don't think that Lacey's really fit into this just pen raised, pack hunting sort of environment. My dogs, and we're just talking about it, we're actually picking the dogs that are emotionally looking with us. I got to be able to go to, wherever I'm going with that dog. There could be people around and stuff, but I got to have a dog that I have an emotional bond with. But I think when you have those single point dogs that are bred like pointers, pointers are a perfect example. They've bred all the other stages of the hunt, most of the other stages of the hunt out, except for the search and find, and then the hold at the pause point of the hunt. Okay, so those dogs, and there's not much emotion there and everything, but with the Lacy dog, we're talking about a dog that you're going to keep with you. I just think that I'm more and more, and I even call it relationship-based training now. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but if I don't have a relationship, if we're not bros, because we are going to do something, that dog could very well get hurt, and I could get hurt. And so anyway, maybe I put a little bit more emotion into my dog. But this whole explaining that, I don't know how you get that bond, but it starts when they're looking at you with a pup. You develop the bond, but you don't think you can pick that pup up after it's been, if it's been bonded with someone, and pick up that bond and transfer it to you?
I think you can, but I don't think it'd be near what it would have been if you'd raised that puppy. There's another thing while I'm thinking about it, before my train of thought gets derailed. I've had people asking the difference between the males and the females. And I said, I know it gives that a lot of solid. And I've never seen a nothing worth difference in the working ability. The only difference I've ever experienced is the female seem like they bond a little more with you. And a little more protective when they're older, they're family, than the males are. Now, my males, I can put them back in my pickup, you steal everything back there and then they can while you're doing it.
Well, that's good. I've had some males. Now, any man used to, when cowboy showed up a cowboy hat here, I used to have some problems. Like, you couldn't just take a random redneck over to one of my male pins. But I have backed way off that, just like we talked about. If you breed them that bite, they'll bite.
Well, they're just my experience with my dogs. I've had some females that you better not reach them back to the pickup. And
I've had some females, and I've heard a lot of people say the females can tend to be more bitchy. Yeah.
They're a little more protective of their own, which is their property, than the males are. But that's just my experience.
To be, my females are a little bit more, there's a little bit more loose relationship. Maybe this says something about my sexuality, but me and my males, we are tight. I mean, when they want to know what we're doing and when we're doing it. Some of my females, like, they go, they don't have to be as engaged, but there's a physical difference. I mean, maybe we should talk about the physical difference, because to me, as you get, there's different sizes of Lacys, different muscle structure, but if you take a genetically equivalent male and female Lacy, what do you think the size difference is there and the athleticism difference?
I'd say I fall back to what I was saying, not the size of dog and the fight, the size of the fight and the dog. I've had some little bitty females that whip a male dog 3 ways a Sunday if they got crossed.
That was the Eisenhower quote.
You know what?
Yeah. Well, you told me, I looked it up, I put it in the book. Yeah, it's not the size of the dog, the size of the fight and the dog.
Yep.
Well, you've been through this, so we've been around and around. Like, there was a big, I think that Lacy went through, this was going way back, maybe about 16, 17 years ago, when there was a lot of, and you were very much thinking that these big dogs weren't right. So
there again, that's my opinion.
Well, I think that's why I say you go crazy and you're feeling
But it comes down to that. And it's not a round pen in Marble Falls at a hog sale, rounding up range hogs today. Today, it is in this case, a cattle ranch. And the dogs have to be the right size to perform. And with the Lacy dog, I think I was always telling Jimmy, like, oh, don't fight. It doesn't have to be that size. Jimmy, just relax. But Jimmy was, Lacy. But anyway, we could laugh. But anyway, I was always trying to tell Jimmy, let's just kind of be cool a little bit. We know what we're doing. But Jimmy was kind of always guns ablaze a little bit. But that's Jimmy, and that's great. But the size, I think, getting these really big dogs, it really can be a losing proposition in a lot of circumstances. If the dog is too big, can't move fast enough. We just went through the fundamental characteristics of the breed, and if you get too big, you're going to diminish that. And the problem with that is always going to be a larger cow, or there's always going to be a larger hog. And if that dog stumbles or faltered or even cannot move fast enough because of the sheer mass, that tooth is going right into your dog, or that hoof is going to kill your dog in one kick.
Yeah, I've had people defend that big Lacys that handle the cold water and the cold weather better.
Well, but did someone had a Lacy in cold water, I guess? But yeah. And
a few years ago, when we had that real bad winter, them boys in South Texas, oh my God, the electricity went out, the heat lamps went out, and my dog howling. Had to bring them in the house and had your dog survive. That's when the chill factor here was 20 below. I fed them a little bit more, and I put a little more extra hay in their dog house.
Oh.
They did just fine.
Yeah, well, I don't know if this is a generational gap for you and me, but when we had the big freeze here recently, every single dog was in this house. For 4 days. 5 days, actually. And 4 teenage boys. My daughter's friends came out to hunt with me, and then the ice hit. So I had every dog in this house, and it was iced all over. But so I'm not that, like, where I leave them out when it gets cold. We bring them in.
My daughter's got one of my dogs. That time I still never bring him to my house. He don't realize it. My dogs don't realize that other dogs live like he does. He sleeps in bed with them, and he just,
You don't know he's a dog. Don't you ever touch one of them.
he touched my...
Listen, Pam, you want to say hi real fast? Let's let Pam. Can you just come say hi real fast? Just kind of lean in here, Pam.
The fine shirt you
This is
wear.
Jimmy's wife. Maybe you can slip right back here. You got to come further, Pam. Come all the way around. You're good, Jimmy. It's just sit back there. Let's say you got. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Pam,
Fine shirt she's not wearing there.
she screwed up her life early on, and this is what happens.
58 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I got y'all a couple of more shirts. Oh. So, medium. Did you want medium? Did that last shirt? Sorry, cream on back. There you go.
Nah. But great when I got put one out.
No, that's the National Lacy Dog Registry. So that I gave that to you intentionally just so I could put my propaganda into these hands.
It's a beautiful. Go ahead and advertise for him.
That's you like medium. I got other shirts. We can mess with it later, but I've got other sizes. But you had a large fan. There's another shirt for you. I like the designs. They're all gray. But anyway, that's my dog Jesse, right there. But anyway, there you guys. Pam, just thanks for bringing it over to me. Pam brought Jimmy over, and Jimmy's been trying to con Pam into bringing him over here all week. So you wonder why there's late notice. I talked to Jimmy, I guess, like on Friday or last week, and then on Monday I hadn't heard from him. So I'm like, I'm not kidding. And then he's like, I'll track down Pam. So I guess then he called me yesterday and said, we're in tomorrow.
Says, can we go?
Then we had
Thank you.
we had one.
Thank you for
day-
putting up with him. Thank you for carting him around. Just thank you, Pam.
We had one day that we didn't have doctor appointments or appointments to be somewhere. I told him we're going to do it today.
I'm glad you did. Like I said, I knew, but as soon as you made that call, I was like, I got to go, Jimmy. I got to start getting ready. So first of all, I had to clean. There were kennels still in here. I mean, I'm not as much of a hard ass as Jimmy. My dogs do know what it's like to be in the house, but they're happy either way, and
Yeah,
but they don't run around. They don't run. I'm not a house. Like, my dogs do not just run around here freely.
unless I'm doing something.
That's a comparison I make a lot of times with a border collie or hounds. Hounds are bred to hunt. If they're not hunting, they're not happy. Border collies were bred to herd. And if they're not out there herding sheep or something, they're not happy. I would take my Lacy dogs, catch a 300-pound hog. They'll get back in the pickup and lay down on a toolbox and go to sleep. Or we can track down a bobcat or a coyote. They get back in the truck and they're fine. Then they get.
I think they got a kind of bipolar. I think you and I might have talked. Some dogs. I think you told me this. You said, Sean, because I was worried. People get into Lacys are worried. Oh, it's going to be too high energy. Well, maybe. But you told me. I'll never forget this. You said, well, Sean, some of my dogs that when they're not hunting, they're actually lazy.
Yeah,
No man wants to say that, and I just outed you as.
Yeah, that's what I love. One of the things I love about the Lacy dog, they're perfectly content with whatever situation they're in. They can go out there and work cattle, bring them back in here, and they'll lay down on that couch and go to sleep.
I think a lot, and I feel like when I talk to people that are having, like, sometimes when I talk to people about Lacy, some of my Lacys I have had to teach to calm down. I definitely recommend box kennel training because they've got to stop just digging on the kennel and trying to get out at some point. And by the way, a Lacy can break out of a kennel, so they need to be comfortable in there. You got to teach them to wind down. And to me, if you never can get your Lacy into gear off mode, what does this make any sense to you? Because I feel like I want them to go when it's time to go. But when it's time where I need them to chill, we can, love them, pet them. They don't get on my laps, but I know a lot of these people in the Lacy Owners group get them on their laps and in their beds and stuff. But I damn sure love them. I love them. And I want to be calm when I'm loving.
I think there again, I don't think they're all the same. They're individual. And I've had some, and I bought one a while back that he was out of my bloodline, both top and bottoms, 2 or 3 generations back. But that dog would wound up tighter than 8 big slower. I mean, he never stopped.
I have some of that, and I feel like, okay, so then we get to more onto the red zone.
Yeah.
And see, so when I say, and I guarantee you, there are people that saw when I published this. And by the way, when I first published it, I put the target temperament right, like dead set in the middle.
Yep.
And then I just changed it because I raised Lacy dogs, and nobody will ever admit that they were raising a dog right there. But my theory is these we're going to get some dogs that are active companions, and I think that's great. It's a Lacy that's more timid, more shy, naturally. You can just kind of build it up, but it's hard to order it around. And then when you get over in here, you get a dog like this is a general temperament map. But when you get over here in the red zone, something like just can't calm down. Like it's like I gotta have it calm down at some point and not just be running full speed all the time. Anyway, this.
Yeah, like I said, I think the dogs are individuals.
Well, they're individuals, but I think we need to be selected. But for me, and this is why I put this together, by the way, it's just for me. This is the diagram that justifies my BS.
And I think you breed, Karen, what you're wanting to get.
Yeah, I am wanting to get dogs that can be calm, can be right, and can take commands, not hundreds of commands. It's over there. That's a command. Go get it. But I need them to look at me and understand what we're doing and give it a command. Not 100 commands. I don't need to teach it how many steps to take and tell it to stop, and take 2 more steps.
I mean, that comes to reputation. Dogs, all animals, that's actually about reputation.
Yeah.
And that I've had animal rights activists say, well, that poor coon, he chewed his foot off to get out of that trap. I said, they've learned by reputation. Now, if they ever have to chew all 4 feet off before he'd figure out that did him any good.
Yeah. Well, I don't expect. I think I saw a PETA person on here.
Man, think about it.
No, that's one thing too. Is I set up the Blue Lacy owners groups and stuff. We really have to be able to isolate anti-hunters from any kind of
group activity around Lacy Dog. As far as we just can't have people saying that we want to grow meat in boxes and stuff like that. I don't allow any anti-livestock in all the Facebook groups that I've set up that I'm the administrator on. We don't allow any anti-livestock sentiment or any anti-hunting sentiment. So, anyway, my point is, you're amongst friends. You can kill it in here.
Well, I don't know if you're an Aggie or not,
No, I'm a raider. I'm a red raider.
and I'll probably get some hate mail to Aggies, but you know how you kill an Aggie coon?
Am I gonna get banned from Facebook?
Still, you know, 2 off 3 feet and he's still in the trap.
No.
Son, oops. I have nothing against Aggies. They just used for an example.
So many Aggies in Lacy Dogs, though. Have you noticed that? I mean, just so many Aggies. You know, there are just so many Aggies. I think it's great, by the way. I went to Tech, so you know you're getting a little bit of harassment from me, but don't take it personally. So many Aggies. We got one lady in the, Rachel Conley, for example. I mean, I think that whatever, they go into wildlife, the whole segment of A&M, not the business school, the ranch land management side of things, and all that. And I see them. These people are great for the breed. And I think Aggies are just great for the world, frankly. Even though we'll sit here and me and Jimmy could tell Aggie jokes all night. We're not going to do it because I do believe that A&M University is.
And I'm going to get in with the Aggies.
Exactly. It's like if you're an Aggie and people are making fun of you, just embrace it because we love you. And you're very, very important to the culture of Texas. I guess the development of our young people. So more power to you. You know, not everybody can be a Red Raider and, you know, just get drunk and raise hell. And anyway, sorry, go on. UT, you know, a lot of Texas people involved in this breed. I mean, anytime Texans want to get involved in this breed, especially if they're outdoorsman type people, wherever you went to college, whatever your walk of life, there's plenty of room for a lot of different personalities.
It's like the dog.
Yeah.
I got 10 comments. Yeah.
Robert, one of these days, and I know Robert, he's kind of becoming a buddy of mine, but he overthinks stuff like I do, but it's important. We don't overthink, Robert. It's important to us. My sea bass analogy comes up all the time, and you see it all the time in working dogs. And the sea bass guppies just want to come in and attack pet owners, and it's just kind of like, that's fine, except that they're spending their energy on, the guppies spend their energy on that. Sea bass, it's a man. You shouldn't even have one of these dogs. All that energy on the internet versus, let sea bass show you a couple things and get you a dog and prove it out and then come talk to other bass. If we get back to proving dogs, and it's 2026, if you haven't taken a video of your dog doing something, it doesn't have to be awesome. Doing anything. It's like an actor that's never been on camera. Okay? Get a little video of something you're doing, bring it to me, bring it to Jimmy. Was this good or bad? But don't come to us discussing, well, I heard this is the way it's supposed to be, and I'm sure that's what it's a pointless. At the end, we can do that. But we got to prove the dogs out. The sea bass syndrome accelerates, right? Because then they get a club. And then the club kind of, then they get a club so you can manage, 50, 100 guppies with a few sea basses. But none of them worked any cattle, or none of them, maybe one or two. That's sea bass. He catches a hog, and then he's got, but the talk without proof is really, we're talking here, and I talked to Jimmy. If Jimmy had not proven himself to me, we would not be having this conversation. I mean, honestly, Jimmy and I are buddies. We like each other. By the way, I'm from Lubbock. I was raised by charming rednecks. Well, I wouldn't say you're a redneck, but I was raised by charming Texas gentlemen. Okay, and I get it, but it takes more than that for me, because I also am aware of the all hat and no cattle syndrome, which is a big problem in working dogs. So a lot of these people get out there and start talking and haven't proven themselves. I would just encourage you to prove yourself, and I'm trying not to be self-serving here, but if you haven't proven to me that you've done something, a video, something, because I have to reduce the risk that I am not wasting time talking about something that's completely wrong. Got to prove the dogs out, or you can't just. In matter of fact, okay. So let me tell you the Robert, you're gonna love this. Okay, so the sea bass syndrome. Sea bass brings about 5 guppies. You get the sea bass together, and then they have a club, and then they get it all figured out in the club. They've all talked out. You know what they do then? They have a field trial, and then they have a field trial. And then after the field trial, ultimately, what ends up happening is the field trial has nothing to do with the actual hunt. You see it in Labradors. Every breed has these. I like bait pin. We like bait pin for training. Jimmy just said that. So I don't think I'm going to insult anybody here. But bait pin, as far as an event and gambling, is a field trial. And they're teaching those dogs, and they're genetically raising those dogs. I'm stealing Jimmy's thunder. I should let Jimmy say this, but I'll go ahead and say it for him. They're teaching and raising dogs. They're going to get killed in the woods.
Yep. And I've used this phrase once before, and I upset first. I should have explained that it was a blanket statement, not pointed any one individual. When I was in Hong Kong, I heard of a Chinese proverb. It says it's not wise to argue with a fool, because the passerby may not be able to tell the difference. And I used that phrase once before, and I think this one person took it personally. I didn't
With the Chinese.
think it was just a blanket statement. It wasn't that it meant that one person.
So what I don't understand, I'm sorry that's just stop you. What were you doing in Hong Kong? And they let you in?
Oh, yeah.
Did they
I heard about that.
give you a hassle at the airport?
Oh, no. I didn't.
They let you walk right in?
I don't ship.
Oh, you on a ship. I was going to say, you probably couldn't step foot on the land. They'd be looking at you like,
Not now.
what is that? Look at that.
He said, no. It was still a British colony when I was there.
Chelsea's real? That's good. Say Chelsea. I know Chelsea. I'm telling. And Chelsea, I talked to her the other day, and Chelsea, kudos to you. She told me she'd raised a bunch of paws, been done a bunch of training stuff. This is exactly what we're talking about, Chelsea, is just getting out there and working your dogs so you know what they do. Do not just listen to what everybody's saying. So kudos to you, Chelsea. I thought that when I talked to this lady, I'm always, if I'm talking to you, I'm trying to find out, and I'm trying to estimate. Now, Chelsea is a woman. So that means if Chelsea tells me that she's got a badass dog, or she's doing something, that means she's probably doing it. If she's a man, those odds go way down.
Yeah, my problem with most people, he's expert, which in my opinion, the X is a has-been, and a spurt is a drip under pressure. But most of these expert Lacy dog people still own the first Lacy dog they ever saw in their life. And now all of a sudden they're experts on the breed. They start telling everybody how they need to breed their dogs and what matters and what don't.
Yeah, that happens. By the way, if someone tells you this is the way it is, and then it migrates from there, Jimmy, to all those people who are doing wrong, and so you can't talk to them, you have to hate them. If you're in any club or group, and you're wondering if you're possibly in a cult, if they're telling you that those aren't really, those people are wrong, those people, as soon as you feel like you're getting trapped into that, danger, Will Robinson. Okay? That's we're both older now. I used to be young and everybody would understand my analogies, but that was the Lost in Space analogy. But yeah, when there was trouble, or he says to bad bird, danger, Will Robinson, danger, Will Robinson. As soon as someone's trying to get you to be a part of their club and you got to go hate those other people, it is hugely problematic. Okay, I don't want to.
They do that my way or the highway deal.
Yeah. Well, the highway is the laboratory, not this laboratory, whatever your laboratory is. And it's like, she's a tracker. Your laboratory, Chelsea, is the woods tracking wounded deer. So don't spend too much time listening to what people say. Spend more time doing that and record it. And I'll tell you, as a woman, people are going to think that, I think it has nothing to do with a woman. If you haven't proven yourself, don't try to step in the conversation with people who have. Actually, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go hunting with your dog.
That's it.
Go hunting with your dog before you take in more information. And when people do this, people think about breed marketing, and they think what they're supposed to be doing, and then they get a Lacy, and then they knew they may. I would just do some things and record it.
The best advice I can give anybody raising a Lacy dog, if that dog is doing what you want it to do, the way you want it to, then that's all you need. You don't need to come up somebody else's standard. You raise him to do what you want it to do, the way you want it to do. And that's what you...
That's right. And again, I'm a little bit younger than Jimmy, so what I would say is take a couple of videos and talk about your process and be prepared to have that conversation. Because as soon as you don't have that foundation, you're not looking at, well, you can't go there and be with everybody. Take a little video and then start asking those questions. And I promise you, you will go find so many things that do not make sense. Yeah, I can tell you the long time wasted I spent before I figured out a lot of things about the cattle's moving, cattle work is moving cattle through gates. I told you that. See, there is a whole hoopla of cattle world. There is a field trial world of, of cattle work that really is useless to me. So I mean to say, just do to prove itself prove it in the wild yourself. RC has come back, get companionship. Man, RC, I got.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, go. Yeah, go.
RC, you and Kate, remember this one?
Sweet.
I brought that for you, boys.
This is mine, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is mine. Jimmy said I could have. Jimmy said I could have this, and he might have been just being nice, but too bad. Too bad. Nice. That's which one is that?
Patch.
That's Patch. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Yes.
Julie Newman took that.
I'll take this.
Julie Newman called me one day. She needs the trap line pictures.
That over here was my stuff.
I told her I couldn't guarantee we'd have anything caught. We went out there and Julie was just snapping pictures. And shit, that was a Kodak Moloch when she caught that one. It was, if you talk about some ridiculous male, I got comments on that picture. Julie was proud of her photography. When you posted the picture, this lady posted on there and said, I certainly hope that Kyle was not injured in that altercation. I would love to take him in and rehabilitate him. You think he was getting along all right in my apartment with my house cat? Yeah, lady, he'd destroy your apartment and eat your house.
Yeah, we have to be able to be the men that we are and the women that we are and the people that we are, Texans. We don't have to adhere to some of these liberal ideologies around, hunting and livestock. Okay, you can eat your meat from a box-grown meat factory. Okay, I'm going the other way. I told you, when he called me yesterday, he said, what are you up to, Sean? I said, I'm making milk. And he was like, he thought maybe I was like having some hanky-panky with my wife or something. He said, what does that mean? Now, I literally...
Oh, I milked enough cows.
I made it. I mean, I pasteurized and everything, but I'm going the other way. And they're literally, lab growing this stuff, and it's going to be whatever. So, yeah, we got to... So Jimmy's always offensive, but when Jimmy's around me or anybody in any of the Lacy discussions, the anti-hunting and anti-livestock sentiment really just needs to be suppressed. And I had one lady come into my YouTube channel one day. She said, you made me cry and all that. The other lady said, well, how could you shoot it? It was looking at you. It's just you just need to remove yourself. And we have to recognize that the Lacy dog world, has some parameters. So others can appreciate it, but we cannot be subjected to box-grown meat. Yeah, I mean, RC, I was going to say, it's like, I am so focused on relationship right now, with my dogs. I just try to get in their head nonstop. I want to try to understand and get that relationship. So he says, but if I raise them and bond with me, it seems to listen better. Okay. All right. I talked to my buddy Richard Bruner the other day, and we were talking about selected pups. I'm a breeder. So if you're trainers and I have a hard time having a conversation because they can fix every problem. And I ain't going to start with if it doesn't fit in my, parameters one I want to work with. But I also see this really, strong confidence in some dog man. And Richard Bender told me the other day, I was like, well, you don't want that pup. You want to He's like, well, he wants to find the right pup, but he feels like if he could start with as a pup, he can have success. But I just think that there's limiting parameters there, so we need to make the right picks. But I don't know. I just don't. I feel like when I'm raising the pups here, I already start forming a relationship with them. So I just don't know if it has to be a puppy imprint or not. But it sounds like there's some.
Well, I've got a boy in Mississippi, George sent you, George Sean, that he's a big hunting guy. Now, he wanted me to take that puppy and keep it for him because he's about 8 months old in training. I told him, I won't do that. Because you take that puppy and you keep him with you. And Joey worked for Forest Service. He told me later, when that puppy was a year old, he said, you were right. He said, I would have brought that dog. He said, that dog would have been your dog, not mine. And he takes that dog every day, every single day, out to the woods, and they go cutting timber and whatever. And that dog will sit in deer blind with him. Joey said, I can go to sleep. And Rooster will let me know when the deer is coming up. So he sat there and he watches. As I see him point, so I know there's one right out there.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think this is not talked about enough. And they got to understand the hunt. And when they understand the hunt, Lacy will absolutely point out stuff. And
Yeah, he shot a turkey one day and got away from him. He said, I'm going to go back and get Rooster and see what he thinks. I said, he'll find him. He went and got the dog, put him on it, and he tracked that turkey down, found that turkey for him. And
well, that's a great tracking dog. But when you're talking about literally, and I do this when I'm bird hunting, when I have a dog, this is about Jimmy, but I do a lot of bird hunting, so it's very important to me. But people are so worried about sit and heel and hold. And when I'm dove hunting, usually it's the 30 minutes at first, dove, duck, everything. That first hour is gangbusters. Okay, imagine a British man standing there with a whistle and no, not a Lacy dog. And a guy sent me, and by the way, I had a guy that sent me, I'm doing Instagram now, so I noticed I got some messages. This guy, he said, I got this Lacy, it's a great tracking dog, and I'm working on retrieving, and he's doing good, but I can't get him to hold steady after a shoot. And I said, I did exactly. I took Jimmy's advice. I said, I will give you my opinion.
he said, that's right, listen. And by
by the way, he came back, so we're still friends, or we're still talking and everything. But I told him straight up, the whole British, use the European analogy. I said, did he see you shoot the bird? Okay, so why are you wasting time here, brother? Yeah,
that's it.
And so really, in a bird hunting situation, and I've done a lot of bird hunting, it's kind of like a lot going on. You're looking this way, and you shoot a bird, and I literally the birds will come from behind you, and a good dog, just like you were talking about seeing the deer come, will see that bird, and you will read that dog's eye because it'll be a Lacy, and it'll be looking you in the eye, and you have that eye communication with it, and it will point birds coming from behind you. Turn around, shoot it, okay? And none of this is like, stand here while I blow my whistle, and I got my whistle around. None of that is going on. I'm ducking in the field. I've got I'm ducking at the dog, and then worry about sit. The dog is ducking with me. I'll grab the collar and I hold the collar. These people are sending their retrievers off for 6 months of training, teaching the heel so they can walk around his heel. No, it's war.
You're not a British bird holder.
No.
And you don't have a British bird dog.
I did. I used to have a Labrador, and people hated me too because everybody with the Labrador world is so brainwashed. Sea bass all came up, and then they got a club, turned it into a cult, and then they got their field trials. The field trials are worldwide, and it's very well known that if you train for a retriever trial, you're pretty much untraining a lot of stuff that's needed for hunting. And so I know this guy's like, well, I'm not sure. I know field trials, we do this stuff. Like, okay, all that time and money that you spent on the field trial, I don't want that. I want all that time back to where I could go shoot birds and hunt. And so, but I think it's also more like a Lacy dog thing. So as you're trying to give it a bunch of commands and stuff, when we're out there bird hunting, Anyway, we're a little bit off on a tangent, but we'll keep moving here. Yeah, I have pictures of some of Jimmy's pups laying with me on bed as a kid. I never had one thing. Well, see, RC, you've just been outed as just the complete setup to come here and make Jimmy look good.
That's my boy, that's there. Yes, sir.
Let's see what he's got more. Okay, but every single one could come with me in the house and run. So he's like this. He said, I like Jimmy. He's good, raised good dog, but the mean old guy won't let him in the house. I agree. But by the way, when my dogs are in the house, they are not sitting on the couch with everybody. Okay, have y'all heard of turkey?
Turkey dog, the father turkey dog. I have heard of dogs were trained to work turkeys, and best I remember, they would just bust up a flock of turkeys and scatter them everywhere, and then come back to the order and lay down there, and then he would call that regrouping call and call them all back in to regroup. I'm not turkey hunter.
Oh, what's this, Luann? See, you got all kinds of people.
Yeah,
To come over.
That's our oldest daughter.
Okay, so back to this turkey dog thing. What did you hear? We may have to get some extra on. Because I'm a turkey hunter, but I'm usually down in the grass with the
I
call.
remember this old boy would call turkeys in, or somehow there were a flock of turkeys. Just out there, that dog would just bust them up and scatter them everywhere. And then the dog would just come back to them, and he'd start calling it a regrouping call or something.
Oh, so they haven't seen a human.
Right.
And so then you could get them spread out and then call them back together.
Yeah,
So,
he was in kind of a bind, and that dog, he kept on sleeping bag to that dog would lay down in the bag and just lay there until he couldn't be needy.
Kathy, I don't know if that's what you're talking about the turkey dogs. That's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Then he would bust them up and scatter them, and then he would start calling. He'd call that regrouping call and bring them all back in.
Well, see, usually what I do is start first thing in the morning when they're first scattered and starting to group up. But I can see the benefit there. Screen sideways. Hopefully we can get some.
You know, we were talking about Lacys being adaptable. I have a friend, Brandon Lacy, up there in this side of Waco. His dogs were riding a skid load and an excavator with him, and they were riding a helicopter with him. They fly in the helicopter, and the Lacys get in and lay down in the helicopter, and they fly wherever they need to go.
Yeah.
Because he's raised them that way, and wherever he goes, they go. He went to a steakhouse with him one day, and they tell him, he bring those dogs in here. He said, well, I won't come in then. He said, my dogs eat steak all right along with me. But he takes them in the helicopter, takes the excavator, wherever he's at.
Let's go ahead and talk about ears. So at least we can have some fighting going on. Because to me, there's a lot of talk about ears and form, and Jimmy's talking 18 inches, and I'm going back to what's the proof?
That right there, again, in my opinion, is the most perfect confirmation of a female Lacy that I've seen in many, many years. They call those ears rose petal ears. Now, I believe that comes from a greyhound breeding in the dog. And that's what I grew up with, and that's just what I keep shooting for. Right, wrong, or in between.
Yeah, well, so I always go back to the laboratory. This was the 1800s laboratory, and now we have other laboratories where people are proving out dogs. So I just cannot find myself putting a lot of energy into ears.
You know, in my opinion, that's just part of the confirmation. To me, that's just part of the package that I'm looking for.
So you like so personal preference. And I'm not trying to pigeonhole you into only personal preference, but it is personal preference to you. So other people have other preferences, and
Yes.
And this is, we looked at this earlier. This was from the Texas Dog Manual, and very covered the different types of ears, or a couple of different types. There's multiple types of ears, including goofy ears. So I'm gonna just impart my opinion and let Jimmy respond to it. If you like the ears on your dog's doing a good job, let somebody make fun of the ears and then call them out, because a good dog, it's not based on what their ear looks like. Now, I know in some bloodhounds they say it can funnel scent towards their nose, but I don't think we're dealing with anything like that here. But I may find myself wrong in the future, but its characteristics can certainly be tied to other characteristics. So if the is here, but I just see a lot of people that have on the size too. I've seen a lot of people that had, and that's why I always come back to you'll go crazy trying to figure out which person to listen to. It comes back down to proof.
Yeah, and like I say, I don't know of any function that the rose-petal ears have. I think my personal preference. And like I say, that's just something I grew up with, and it just what I really like.
Oh, really? Look at that. Look at that. That's fun. I just want to show the audience something. I want to tell a story about the first day I met Jimmy. By the way, this is my dog Sissy right here. This is the dog Jimmy says perfect. Look at the ears. Look at all that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you the first day I met Jimmy. We were at a dog event, and Jimmy walks up to me, and he's trying to explain people all the stuff that he's explained to us now back then. And he walked up to me. You were with Tom Graham. And I walked up, and I had my Sissy with me, Sissy, right here. And I mean, him and Tom Graham come up and start following my dog. And Jimmy said, that's a perfect Lacy dog. You love Sissy.
Yep.
I would love to tell you what the result of 20 years of picking this brown brain is. I'm going to share that with you all right here, right now. See that? See that right there? See that right there? You see all this? This is a pedigree. This is a pedigree. This is a pedigree. Okay. Right here. You see that? Height, weight, all this stuff. I had it in the spreadsheet. 20 years ago, and I had it in the spreadsheet. Now we have, better system or whatever. But we're tracking some of that stuff in here. But I just want y'all to understand that this is not my craziness. This is me documenting what great dogmen are telling me about the breed and putting it into a computer system where we can track it. So we can compare it. We can test it in the laboratory.
I think this is the greatest thing I've seen in many, many, many years. I think Sheldon knocked it out of the park with this deal. You can look at restoration paper, and you see the dog and the color and all that. But with this right here, you can see the physical characteristics of the dog. And you can look back and see what you like, what you don't like. Gives you an idea of what you want to breed to. But I just want to touch on this deal right here where he's talking about size of dogs and Lacys. This is a transcript from the old Lacy breeders. Some of these people I knew when I was a kid. This one, Robert Olson. Lacy dogs are medium sized with small bones. Well muscled, short haired. And the main thing I'll go over is the size. Every one of these refer to them as medium to small. Jack Lacy says you can take a 45-pound Lacy dog and work sheep and goats or cattle with them this morning and catch hogs or wounded deer in the afternoon. Then Albert Holland from Waller City, the best handling yet toughest little dog in the world. They want to refer to them as medium to small. This little dog. And these people back in the 50s.
Yeah, but this is one of the differences between you and me that's never turned into an argument. You know what you have an idea of what it is, and I'm always wanting to test it. But I can tell you the dogs get bigger, they get killed. And I can prove that too. You take these pits and these big catch dogs and stuff. The only reason they don't get killed is because they're wearing armor.
And that don't keep. We save them. A lot of them.
Well, these cow dogs too. I mean, I have all these guys get these healers and they get kicked and killed and stuff. I don't think you want your dog being too big to get out of the way of this and the stuff we're doing.
again, the terrain and working conditions and everything has changed a lot over the last 50 years or so. So it's all different.
Jack Lacy, what is this description here? Let me show you, Alex. This is one of the things.
It's just a paper that I don't remember who really it is.
But it's talking about Robert also Jack Lacy. Who was Jack Lacy? Is that a Lacy descendant?
That's one of the Lacy descendants.
Okay. You can take a 25-pound Lacy dog and work sheep and goats or cattle with him this morning, then catch hogs or wounded deer in the afternoon. Let the kids hunt squirrels or cottontails with him in the evening, then catch coons or other varmints with him till in the night, then bring him home, and he will guard you and your property and be a faithful companion to your wife and family, and he will do all this on about 3 cups of commercial dog food per day. And this is Jack Lacy.
That's a perfect explanation of a Lacy dog in my opinion. I think.
Well, certainly, I just, Lacy's is definitely a multi-purpose cross-functional breed, and I think when you look at doing things cross-functionally, what you should do all this. Yes.
Well, the thing, in my opinion, is when the Lacy was developed for a breed, the dogs were pets, but they had a job to do. Everybody on that ranch farm had a job to do. Mom and daddy, the kids could walk, you had a job, some kind of job. And if you didn't work, you didn't eat. That dog was expected to take care of his job. And that described his work that he was expected to do. And
I don't see the issue with it at all. I think the problem to me comes in when you're dealing with a cross-functional dog and you're coming from a single-purpose mentality. Go back to that guy that was trying to hunt birds with his Lacy, and he called me for advice. Wrong person to call to get your British-style bird hunting. Okay, I probably learned my bird hunting is probably more akin to Jimmy's 3 tours in Vietnam. It'd be more likely, seriously. I think if you take the hoopla out of any discipline and get down to what the mission is to accomplish, but Dwayne mentioned something about this earlier, really, it's how we should, value our progress. If you get a dog that can work across disciplines, you need to cut out the 6 months of teaching the dog to sit and stand there while you shoot something and wait to tell it just so you can feel like you're cool to stand there with your whistle. I think you should forget that. Go straight to the part where the dog understands when you point, that means you're pointing at something. Go to the part where the dog understands that we're going to go get some game and bring it home together. Get to the part where the dog knows what a gun does, and get to the part as fast as you possibly can that when you point your gun at something, that dog is right locked in just as your sights are.
I think teaching a dog to sit and stay and all that is fine if that works into your working correct areas. If that plays some role in what you're trying to do.
Well, I thought about, by the way, when I thought about you, and I thought, because I know you put them in the truck and they can't get out. They got cyanide bombs that can blow. So there's...
Yeah, if they don't get out of that truck, I wouldn't even close the tailgate. Somebody said, why don't you let them dogs out? I said, I do when I tell them to. But if they jump out and pull a cyanide gun, there's no antidote kit.
Yeah. No, you told me that. So I do think, just remember, I'm out bird hunting where, they're not in any kind of danger or anything.
Right.
And and it is us trying to get as many birds as we can, as quick as we can. We're picking them up and bringing them and just back. So all the stuff that you think about bird retrieving, most of it is just hot air and field trial. Any discipline, by the way, cattle, same thing. I mean, there is an entire bay dog, cattle dog world that it all caught up, and they want to take one and dump 5 cowboys and 5 dogs, and you got to understand that the job of moving cattle or working cattle is moving cattle through gates.
Yeah.
Today. And everybody always wants to tell me Grandpappy's stories. So don't tell me Grandpappy's story. Because if Grandpappy were alive today, he'd have a set of working pens right down below his house. He'd have a gate like that. And we push the cattle in there and we close the gates. And then I come up here and have lunch and hand a list to my hand and say, give them these ear tags and these shots. Because it's just one level set. But any discipline you could come up with that. But the trapping thing is so different, and it was so tedious. I remember you telling me when you worked for the government, every hide, everything had to be documented every much way, and the dog safety and all that. So that's a pretty different discipline. So I think if anybody wants advice on how to get a dog to do that, I'll just tell you right now. If I want them in the truck, I just clip them in. I can tell them, but if something good enough happens, they're going over the side, and I don't want them to get hurt.
It's hard to get them to stop that when there's something comes out that they really want.
But do you think you got your dogs to where you put a cyanide bomb out there right there, and you don't care if a deer came up behind you, your dog's not going to...
I drove right past a red fox one day in my trap. He was hung up right on the side of the road, about 20, 30 yards from where I'd caught him. And I didn't even see him. I was just looking down where my trap was. Peanut was hanging over the side of the pickup. He was seeing it when I come in. I stopped and seen the trap's gone. I just waved him out of the trap and pointed out. I put him up. He hit the ground and dropped back. He didn't even come where the trap was. He just went right back down the road.
Oh, right back to where it was?
Yeah. And I was getting all upset as I walked in. He had my red fox bayed up. He knew where he was before I did.
I think Lacys have a good memory. I was funny. I had my dog Angel in here earlier. We were talking about the reasoning ability. I just don't see dogs as... I don't see Lacy dogs as these single-purposed inability to think about things. I mean, there's a perfect example. A dog sees a red fox back down the road. You let him out, remembers it that whole time.
Exactly.
Like when I have my dog Angel in here, like if I go in the garage, she knows where a box of toys is, and she'll go through that box. Everyone pick that toy, and then if I put it somewhere else, she remembers a lot of stuff like that. So dogs are capable of a certain level of logic, that's for sure.
I think so. I think they have a certain amount of reasoning.
Best handling yet toughest little dogs in the world. He said, look.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a minimum size? I feel like I don't really want to raise dogs under 25 pounds anymore. And I sold a cattleman, a dog I had tested, and she was good. She could make cattle move by getting around. And he's like, I'll tell this story real fast. I'll tell this story because I always go back to the proof. So I'm talking to this guy, and this guy's a cowboy. He's telling me the dog that sold, and he knew the dog was small then, and I told him, but she ended up being like under 25 pounds or right at 25 pounds. And I thought he's out there, but I was just like trying to understand. It's like I had just worked with this pup and, for a little dog, but I mean, she could get around and move, she was good. Yeah, this was, definitely a good place to start for that point in my breeding program. Now I expect a lot more, but anyway, we ended up rehoming the dog or whatever. But I was like, I'm trying to understand because this is a real cowboy telling me. And he said, well, she can't keep up with the other dogs. And I was just like, how? And no, that's not a thing right here with this dog. I mean, she was fast. I mean, so, well, she can't keep up. And it turns out he was just talking. And I finally fixed his brain a little bit. He's like, I'm like, tell me what you're doing. He said, you don't understand, this dog going to be tougher and everything. You understand, we went to get 15 wild cattle out of the brush, and we ended up dropping 20-something dogs before it's all done. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm not done. I am not done yet. Okay. the 20-plus dogs to get the 15 hit. Okay. Guess how many of the dogs got killed? 7. I'm not going to be. It's just like I'm listening to this, and you're talking about me. Look, if a dog dies out here, we have a freaking funeral. I mean, what in the hell?
I didn't raise these dogs to eat them.
Yeah, I think one thing we've concluded, or I've concluded, leaving this, is that Lacy's number one job is to stay alive.
You're right.
And going in with 20 dogs in a mess, in a rat's nest, it just doesn't make any sense. And a lot of stuff. This is a credible cowboy, or rancher, maybe not a cowboy, but anyway, if your dog's getting killed or that's your plan, I don't like it. So I'm just saying, it's just not me. Like, well, you go see which one gets killed. No, it's just not how I think. I want to be the best dog, raise the best. We're building a relationship. We want to win. When I go into the woods, I want me and my dogs to win. Unequivocally. I'm not trying to even the odds. I'm not trying to get my pocket knife to see if I can do it. No, out, boom, look, picture, next project.
You get that many dogs out there, in my opinion, they're going to get in each other's way. They can't work back and forth like they need to without running over one another. And you're defeating your purpose.
Yeah, well, whatever. Okay, yeah, and then the net math of 7 dogs getting killed in one day? It's just like, no. Because here's the thing that people don't understand about cattle, and border collie people don't understand this because they have to have dog-broke cattle. Okay, they will not go. If you ask your border collie buddies, I'm not picking on border collies, any breed, rodeo types or whatever, where they're trying to get the cattle super tame. So think about this. I'm a small rancher. I'm going to go get my cattle and then get dog broke with cur dogs, I guess, whatever, and then get them to the point where my collies can push them around and control them. I mean, that right there, that just doesn't even make sense to me. The range cattle will kick and kill a dog in a heartbeat. And if that dog has been trained to sit there right behind the roof, it will get killed. When you see the hind leg of a cow look like that and its head freeze up, and you see it looking behind you, your dog's about to die. Okay. So, just this whole thing, dogs need to kill. The number one thing we want to do is we want to keep our dogs alive. We want to raise dogs that can stay alive. If they can't survive on this type of job, which is incredibly rough, we don't have to be stupid. We don't have to go in there and stab it with a knife and get everybody hurt and cut up. But it is a rough job, and it requires, agility and skill to succeed. And we want to succeed, come out alive. That's sort of my opinions.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't raise these dogs to get them killed. Because things don't happen, but...
Yeah, some things can happen, but 7 dogs in one afternoon?
No.
If I go out and one of my dogs dies, family discussions, crying, I mean...
Dude.
Not to mention... And everybody else is upset emotionally. You think I'm telling you how much of a relationship I build with you? That's like you're in board. You're in Nam. You have anybody that you lose friends in Nam?
Yep.
Yeah. We won't get into that. But it's not as bad as you lose yours. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt.
The time you spent working with that dog, bonding with that dog, and getting that dog to the point where you got him at, you don't lose him for stupidity.
Okay, so there's the investment side of losing a dog. But for me, there's definitely an emotional side. And these things hurt. So anyway, just shout out to all the announcements I see out there in the Blue Lace Yellow groups. I got to tell you, when y'all posted the dog passed, I feel for you. And I got to tell you also, I've had a lot of dogs since I've had this ranch. I've literally got robbed because they age out. They don't live as long as we do. Man, it's okay to love your dog. And you'll get over it, but you never fully get over it. Jimmy sent me, this was the original registry to ever register a Lacy dog.
I think it was. Some of them say there was one before that, Frank registry or something, but I've never heard of it. This is the only one I knew of. Was ARF, Animal Research Foundation.
Yeah, well, anyway, so this is a litter registration that Dewey sent me that day up, and it's Marfa. They're out of business now. That's why I'm showing you. So you can't go look them up. They're out of business or whatever. But that was the original Lacy registry, and maybe the Frank's registry was before that. But there's a lot of action around registries and stuff like that. You've got your registry. Now I'm president of the National Lacy Dog Registry. Okay, Robert Paul, you are up. Forget what I was saying.
Hey, just real. Robert, again, this is in my opinion. But in my yard, I don't want a 50-pound Lacy dog. Ideally, I think about maybe 47 pounds down. And in my opinion, is what I like. Now, like I say, I don't want anything to weigh 50 pounds. I just think they're too big.
So by the way, I just want to let everybody know that this has always been Jimmy's mentality, and I don't fight him on it. I just urged him to, like, let's play alone, have your own separate category. We'll just this style or whatever, because this is met with so much. Robert, you can't imagine the amount of fights and disputes and friends that hate each other, and you know, and so I do think no matter what it is, you prove it. You tell me the Lacy dog, you know, bigger Lacy dog better, you know, prove it and be working some cattle. Because I can tell you if it's 80 pounds and he tries to get, you know, too close to a cow, it's going to get kicked and killed just the same. It's actually easier than a 25-pound dog.
Now, 55 pound dog, I think that's personal preference. But when you get up to 80 and 100 pounds, now I can't buy that. I don't know what the dog is crossed with, but they're not a little good well.
I don't know. I'm hesitant, you know, especially with American dogs, because I don't know what I'm crossed with. But I would say that if they get big, yeah, you could selectively breed and get.
Oh no, you can.
But when we talked about, there was some you know some pet history, some you know, so there's different stuff out there.
You breed the biggest puppy out of this litter to the biggest puppy out of that litter, and you breed the biggest puppies out of the other. You can continue to build you a bigger breed if you're not building Lacy breed.
That fad was very strong, Robert, just so you know. I mean, there's a lot of people, you know, because that's a thing with Americans. We just destroyed Labrador, I think. I mean, it's just like, and what you end up with, you got big old 100-pound lab that's a couch potato that doesn't hunt or anything. And so that's okay. We don't have to pick on people. But we have to recognize that for fitness of purpose, and just in health-wise, if we just breed bigger dogs, you know,
the bigger labs I can understand for retrieving geese and stuff like that. If it's a Lacy dog, you're not trying to. If you want a catch dog, go get you a pet. Go get you Australian Shepherd. I mean, Argentina Dogo or something. But don't try to change the Lacy breed to make you a bigger dog, because that's what you want.
I think I just think we all want blocky heads.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we always get it, but I just want to throw it out there.
Yeah.
Jimmy, okay, I got you. We all want a blocky headed, badass looking dog, but just remember the 120-pound Labradors that are on Rimmerdale at H3, and it's gonna get that is not badass. Okay, the badass has to be proven. I think we cannot let go of that with the Lacy breed. I do not think this breed is suited for field trials, much less dog shows. But for, you know, we can have a dog show if you want. But it's like, which dog does the best in the the actual show, the show in the laboratory. Bam, you sticking with us? Are we doing good, Jimmy? We've just got a few more things to cover. How you doing?
No, I'm not fighting.
Okay.
But I feel like people say they want a bigger dog. My thoughts on that is, you want a bigger dog, go get you a bigger breed. Don't try to change the Lacy breed to fit what you think they should be. And I'm doing the same things. I fit my dogs into what I think they need to be. But I'm basing that on the 70 years of raising them. But I go back to what they used to do.
That's okay. I guess to be a little bit of opinion. And again, with working dogs, I think it's very normal to, most all working breeds had some size categories based on really the terrain and the brush. So I think there's a little bit of that. So I don't know. This is one place where we've always just kind of disagreed. Actually, we disagree, but that's not an angry disagreement. Because I want mine a little bit taller, only because, well, I told you guys, well, okay, back to the small dog thing. I think there is kind of a too small unless you have a specific purpose.
Well, I think one of the reasons the Lacys, when they first originated, In Marble Falls and the surrounding area, a lot of people call it white brush. Well, we call it bee brush. It's so thick, there just little trails go through it. And a big dog cannot get in there. And they run wolves for killing stock and everything. And those big dogs couldn't get in that bee brush and push them wolves out of there. They push them out. The scent hounds pushed them out. And then they turned the greyhounds, the side hounds loose on them. And I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of the Lacy were fed to a smaller dog, they've worked in that bee brush and all better and get that.
Yeah, they're getting under the brush and stuff. And I've talked to hog hunters that prefer one or the other. You know, for me, some of it honestly is just like, because if the grass is, let's just say the grass is that tall,
Right.
you know, I do feel you want to have the agility because there's also rocks that tall too. And so you get a big cumbersome dog bouncing off boulders, that ain't good. I don't promise you that's not good. And I take my dogs to Colorado, and we got a 250-foot hill down here in this Rocky, but when I go to Colorado, I'm looking for dogs that bounce off those boulders and keep moving and handle that very terrain over many miles.
Yeah, in Marble Falls, you never found grass over that tall. That was a good pasture if you found grass that tall.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so I don't know. I thought, and just like always, I've always thought maybe Jimmy was a little bit rigid on the size because I think that there could be positive working results. I know there's a bigger dog that was really one of the best hog dogs I've heard about. But anyway, but he was smart. He would go cut him by the nuts, and that's lightning.
You've got an audience out there right now that I can name off that's going to agree with you 100% about me being a little bit rigid.
Oh, well, yeah, the system. That's kind of, why did it like state the sky is blue. Yeah. So, yeah, but Lightning, Bell's Lightning is the dog that I was talking about. It never made sense and compared to me. Much larger dog, full Lacy, 100%, you know, whatever. I also, Jimmy, one of the things that, why I felt like maybe you were a little rigid is because there were other old timers in different parts of the state. And if we talk about, like in the old days, what could have happened, you know, so I'm saying they could have went a little bit larger. Okay. Hold on, let me just tell you who it was. He passed away. Oliver Rohde.
Yep.
Oliver Rohde. Great man. German. I couldn't understand what he was saying. He's so German. But Oliver, I talked to him, and he said that is not true. There were larger Lacys. I'm not trying to fight, but I'm saying that that's why, from my perspective, as a younger guy coming up, that is not the only opinion. And so that's where I think that maybe you're a little bit rigid, but that doesn't matter because I've always just said you're a little rigid, and you just always say fine, and then we just move on.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot of, they were bigger Lacys. And when we lived there in Marfa Falls, I didn't have my pen set up, so my dogs were tied out. And I come home one day, my neighbor's Catahoula was locked up with my Lacys. She had 6 puppies. 3 of them was the prettiest Lacy dogs you'd ever want to see in your life. And the other 3 were the prettiest Catahoulas you'd ever want to see.
Oh.
Nobody could look at them and tell you the difference. But I knew.
Yeah.
Because they was mine.
Yeah.
And those Catahoulas, those dogs were probably going to be bigger. Much bigger than my Lacy was. But they were.
I hate talking about other breeds, but sometimes a Lacy is a unique dog, and there are things that we could do to improve the breed. But raising them to be a bay pen dog may not be one of those things because it's a field trial, and raising them to be too big, like a lot of the Catahoulas I see, just seem to be carrying way too much weight.
First bay pen I ever went to, this old boy told me, he said, bay pen dog has no business in the woods, and a woods dog has no business in a pen.
There you go.
And I thought, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard of. When I left her that day, I figured out that man knew exactly what he was talking about. And a pen dog don't know one thing about being hauled out in the factory. And that woods dog, he's not going to work that pen dog the way that pen dog will.
All field trials, Jimmy. Every dog, no matter what, oh, we're the real worker guys or whatever. Oh, let's go get drunk and bet on a bay pin competition, which is a field trial. I love bay pin. All right, I'm going to make an announcement. Before you leave, when it's light enough, I want to show you my pins. We are going to do an all Lacy hog bay on this ranch, and I hope you can make it. You don't have to, it's going to be, but first of all, it's bay pin, so it's basically training. So we are going to do the bay pin and have fun with it, but we're not going to pretend like we caught these hogs, because I've already got the hogs caught. They're already in the pen. We got to, we're going to get it done. But anyway, we want to do a live broadcast, all Lacy hog bay here. So that is coming, folks. Just FYI. Sorry, I had to get a little promotion in here. Yeah, and hopefully you come down for this. So I think the bay pin is such a fun thing, but we always got to remember it's a field trial. So I try to, people get pretty serious about, the bay pin, like that's the whole thing. Oh, okay, I'm gonna help you. Sorry, fam. You may have to break us up apart. So I talked to Jimmy one day. So Jimmy and I have never had crosswords with each other, but Jimmy, his straight, whatever. A couple of guppies get under his fin and say, and anyway, Jimmy had this whole idea that he was going to start bay pinning to make some money. And that probably came from John Weibel. I don't know, where'd you get that? Do you even remember this conversation? And, of course, me, again, I'm pretty rigid in my way. My buddy Jimmy's telling me he's focused on bay pinning. I was, oh, man, Jimmy's lost it. I wish somebody could get up.
I'll just say, Sean is one of the few people that I can talk to about Lacy Dog with that they're not bloodshed before it's over. Listen, I talked to one old boy one day, and I explained to him, I said, if your wife had been a man and we'd been looking at each other, there would have been bloodshed over this and deal. He said, I'll try to remember that.
I do think that really the answer is there's the general public and those of us that are proven dog men, men and women. Okay, so we when you went to Vietnam, you did 3 tours in Vietnam. That's a different individual than me. Okay, so I could talk about warfare all I want. I think that comes
Got another comment too.
but I'm not a soldier. So people need to put some proof up. And y'all see, and I know people, especially all the general public and the Blue Lacy Owners Group, Jimmy, when someone comes in and says, they come to start trouble because they haven't proven themselves, so they don't feel confident. They're a sea bass guppy, and they come in and they start sniping. And then they get out a club, and then a group of them come in sniping. Because they got to stop this stuff. And I have the arbor that works every time. Proof. So if you don't have proof, just stay silent. You might figure something out scientific, but you might be wrong.
Let me respond to Cassie's question there. Cassie, I think the bay pen is the most perfect place that there are to start your hog dog. That you've already got their cutters dubbed off. I think that Lacy can see those cutters. They will respect that. But I think it's a controlled environment. You have full control over what the size hogs you're putting in there. You put your dogs in there. If something goes south, you're right there to take care of it. Out there in pasture, it's a turkey shoot as to what that dog's going to catch and how big a board, how mean it's going to be. And I think you educate him in that bay pen, that's going to be the best thing in the world to get him started. Yeah, I think it's good.
But she's saying that while it's in the bay pen, you're going to dub the...
Yeah, you dub those cutters off, and he can hit your dog, but chances are he's just going to bruise him. If you're going to give him an education, it's not going to...
But some guys have also told me there's a counter side of that, too. If you do too much of that, then they see real cutters in the wild, and they think, oh, if it hits me, I'm going to be okay.
Well, I think Lacy's smart enough to know. You hit him one time, you're not going to hit him again.
Wow. By the way, the hogs that we're going to use in this bay are dubbed. The big ones, the little ones are dubbed. We've dubbed Tushes here. We've dubbed them down here, but
You did like my trap line dogs. People said, do you weaken that springs on those traps? I said, no. I catch them dogs in number 4 new house,
Oh, to teach them not to get into the trap. Yeah,
You'll catch them one time, you never catch them again.
learn that quickly.
Yeah, I've never caught one. I did catch one of my Lacy Dog spikes, but the second time was in a beaver trap underwater. So I cut him a little slack on that one.
Yeah, I do think that I want my dogs to encounter a wild hog in the pen under my supervision on the chance that it gets caught flat-footed in the wild. That hog, every dog I want to see when that hog, little hog Pecan, I want to see it charge and hit him. And you hear, okay, that's when the lesson is done.
Yep.
You know, or yeah.
If they don't,
But if they don't know that, and they run the wrong hog first thing, they'd be over quick.
that's what I tell them about my trap line dogs. If you trap him twice, you trap him a second time, just go ahead and shoot him. He's too stupid to be having. Because I've seen some of them that was dumb enough. This old boy in Mexico told me, said, if you take a trade in, said, he's a good trap line dog. Said, he'll show you wherever trap you got set.
Oh,
Because if you get him out of one, he'll go right there and get in another one.
yeah.
I thought was
I don't know what to say, folks. We could do this for hours, and I'm telling you, I've had so many conversations with Timmy over the years. The ability to sit down and go through it all, because we definitely need a framework to maintain our integrity as Lacy dog men and women. We need to have a frame in our mind of, we just can't be comparing Lacys to every other breed. I see a lot of that where people try to get a Lacy and train it the same way another breed is trained to do something. Yep. There's to me, and I boiled it down, and this is what I'm talking about, a framework. So you keep your sanity, in a conversation. Otherwise, you're going to be swayed. Next thing you know, you're trying to work your Lacy like a border collie, or just cut, big hogs, which fits so. But the three things I've kind of determined that we're looking at is baying. They're bay dog, harvesting. So when a border collie goes after a herd or whatever, that's a whole different approach to that herd. Not even related to what the Lacy's thinking. And not only that, the Lacy's got nose and all this other stuff that it's using to generally hunt, find stuff, bay it, hold it. I would give you my cheat code to cattle work. That bay it, hold it's cool. You can high five your buddies. You take a video of that and send it to me, and I will put it in my trash, bin so fast it'll make your head spin, because I'm tired of seeing people just hold a group of cattle right there and think that's done. Now, holding a boar or a group of a sounder of hogs, and I've got some videos, we're going to show some of those coming up, and not today, but in the future. They can hold them. Lacy group can hold a sounder of hogs and stuff like that. But as far as holding a herd of semi-tame cattle in a tight bunch in the middle of a pasture with no brush and trees in it, it's not that useful. So here's my cheat code. Remove the pressure, make the circle a semicircle. So if you imagine you got Lacy dogs holding a group of cattle here like this, and then you want that group of cattle to move that way, all you got to do is teach them that that's a semicircle. And then you can adjust that circle, and you can drive that herd. There you go, cheat codes.
teach them get ahead or fall back.
Well, get ahead is the natural. And you say fall back. Okay, so get ahead is the natural. So Lacy get ahead is kind of like, I don't even have to say get ahead. It's like, if I see a cow getting away, that if they don't see it, okay, if they see it, it's gone. It's over. They're going to bring it back.
Yeah.
But if I see it and I point it and I say, I'll just say come by or whatever. I'll say bring it back or whatever. I mean, that is a Lacy instinct inbred. They should do that. Bring it back and bay it, get ahead. They're head dogs. But the problem with the head dogs is that it can screw things up when the cattle are moving. So say you get the cattle moving, and some dogs just go in the head and it's clueless, doesn't listen and understand. But if you can teach your dog just a little bit, not a bunch of commands, just a little bit, and keep that a semicircle, you can steer stuff.
If you come about trying to train a Lacy like you would a border collie, that's my thought there on the size of them. Take a Lacy, try to make a Great Dane out of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's about the same deal.
Well, Great Dane is probably more likely to be related to a Weimaraner than a Lacy.
I would think.
Angly, European breed like that. But anyway, so you got bay. We could debate that all day long. But these are bay dogs. They're head dogs. And then what did you call? I call it get behind. What did you call it?
I just tell them fall back,
Fall back. Oh, bring it.
just back, or
It's so funny. I've spent years coming up with my process for get behind and all that, and right there, just fall back. And it is a fallback. I say get behind. It's more of if you got the cattle here, and you move the pressure to here, fall back.
yeah, you
Which way is the herd gonna go?
Back.
Not back to you.
yeah. I'm going the direction you want.
So that's how you can use the bay drive and stuff. Obviously on a hog hunt you can use it very well. But then I think there's also tracking. So if I'm looking at that, I've kind of got three disciplines that I look at. What about tracking? I think that's one of the main, I guess, characteristics we're looking for. I usually evaluate that the nose is working on ground and air scent and the stick with it. Is there, what say you about the tracking characteristics of the breed?
I don't care. A lot of people say when they're tracking a blood trail, they need to keep their nose on the ground and stay right on where that deer went. So I don't care. If that deer made a 50-foot loop out across there and that dog throws his head up and gets in the wind and he cuts across and finds that deer, I don't care how he finds it. If he's saying head up narrow and winding it, or he's tracking it with his nose on the ground. The end result's what matters to me.
We got definitely the end result, success and game on the tailgate, no question. I think trackers would say, or I would say, like, as long as it's just not high-headed, running around there looking aimlessly because you end up wasting a lot of time. As long as the dog accomplishes the task, you don't need to tell them which way to do it. And then the tracking world is, and they do a lot of these testing and stuff like that on a leash, and you're taught to keep that dog. Very often, especially if there's a breeze, because the Lacy's not necessarily sticking its nose in the dirt every step. It's working, maybe just right off the ground or, bearing on the way the scent funnel is and stuff. So that scent funnel moves. If the wind's blowing this way, that scent funnel moves here. And then, this drives people crazy with these dots and stuff. Like if you take a Lacy to do one of these blood trail testing, and it just goes in a U shape, right? So the bait's actually just right over here, but the wind's blowing this way. If that wind changes for 1 second, that wind changes direction for 1 second, and you expect that Lacy to go all the way up there to the top of the track and then come all the way back to where it's right by you. No, that ain't gonna happen. That wind changes for 1 second. That Lacy wins the end of the track, the height or whatever the track. That Lacy's going to abandon this track and go right over there. And if you were trying to train the dog that way, I think you'll have some struggles, just as you would have the struggles training a Lacy to work cattle like a border collie.
Yeah, I trained my Lacys. I just fought down the ground where that trap was at, and it did not make any difference whether it was a sheep, goat, deer, cow, bobcat. I had one of my Lacys in New Mexico bait a black bear. He'd never seen a black bear before in his life. But he knew whatever's in that trap, he better catch it and bait it. And it was, well, now I get you think he's a bear dog. The hell is a bear dog? That's what it takes to make a bear dog anyway, is he treated that bear, didn't he?
That is what it takes to make a bear dog. That is what it takes to make a bear dog. Now, I don't think bear treating, grizzly bears are probably different. But black bears tend to take a tree. And I also think that maybe people are in less danger of black bears when they have a Lacy or a dog with them, for that matter. But I can tell you when I have problems with, So anyway, the black bear thing is coming back to Texas, but I also there's a lot of work to be done with black bears, and I hope Lacys can do some of this work.
Oh, they can.
No, I'm already in it's already in the works.
I've got
Next announcement.
Mike Rada had one of my puppies. He bay bear all the time. Yeah.
Well, so
California had
well, most states you can't really treat them with dogs and stuff. But there's a second job, and this is one of the things I want to introduce, not to the conversation, but in general. You mean that have to get bears out of national parks that have been fed. They have to get bears, so they call it bear hazing.
Yep.
And this is very real, and this is a realistic target for Lacy dogs to be good at this. They use other breeds and stuff like that. The same stuff. You know, you're going to deal with this bear that can, you know, they get like, I see this in many videos and pictures and stuff. I mean, this is when they get them cornered and stuff. So talk about a dog, a situation where he needs to stay alive and a job that they can do. So I think bear hazing is the future. The bear hunting where you treat the bear, I'd love to do it. I think we could do it easily.
With a boy in California, he was government trapper, worked for wildlife services. He bought one of those females, and he lost her. He said all his hounds came back, and she stayed on him. Said, I guess she zigged, but should have zagged. She said, I guess that bear killed her. There were another one. I found a letter back to her and sent her to him. Just after he got it, the Forest Service found that other one. She'd been gone for 10 days.
Oh, still alive?
She was still alive.
Oh, nice.
Said them hounds would catch up with that bear. If that bear didn't stop and fight or climb, said them hounds just walked along by him. Said, you turned them two little 35-pound Lacy dogs loose, said, somebody's going to die. Said, they put enough nail on that bear's butt that he'd either climb a tree or he'd back up and fight. One or other said, they'd shut a bear down in a heartbeat. And he was really, really well pleased with the way they worked the bear.
Yeah, I just think it's a natural thing. I just think there's so many states where you can't actually hunt bears with dogs, or maybe you have to have a permit for a trap. I saw in Colorado, actually, I ran into a government trapper, and he had a pack of dogs in the back of his truck. They tree him, shoot him out of the tree. Totally did, but he's a licensed, state employee.
Yeah, he was.
Just the enforcement opportunities are kind of limited, I think.
Yeah,
because they put out just different ways they hunt bears. So, I don't think this is not a secret between you and me, but I'm a big bird hunter. Like, I love shooting birds from the sky. I need a dog to work with me on it. So we just talked about the two kind of main disciplines, bang and tracking, and put that together. But I have absolutely added a third discipline, which is, you call it retrieving if you want. Very little of it has to do with retrieving. We talked a lot about not the things that need to be done on a dove hunt. And very little of it is me telling the dog exactly what to do and when to do it. So I feel like when we look at the temperament map, I feel like if the dog will retrieve, it's a better chance it's not on that wolf end of the temperament.
right.
It's more in the dog where I can control it and understand it. But I don't know. What do you think? My retrieving business is hog. Well, first of all, I am a very proven. I've proven a lot of my dogs on dove hunting, and just to tell you how serious the mental marketing block is with people. I literally had my brother out here and had my Lacy find 7 of his birds. You go over there and he's like, it's too thick. I can't find anything. Bear, 7 sitting at the campfire right here that night. Sean, you're doing great stuff with your dogs, but you're trying to do too much with them. They're not retrievers. And my brother, man, it's a very intelligent man. And he just doesn't understand it. He's been totally brainwashed. Like, that's why we go to the lab, folks. And my brother's in the lab. And people don't want to accept the lab. I don't mean Labrador. I mean, the laboratory. They don't want to accept that. I got a Labrador retriever, so it's a retriever. No. And by the way, I killed it. It's right over there. Can you grab it for me and bring it to me? Does not require a special line of or breed of dogs, really, if they'll retrieve. So if the Lacy will retrieve, I like that discipline, and I use it a lot.
So it was 50 years ago. There was 2 boys in Johnson City had their Lacy dogs retrieving dogs. They said they did not train them. They went out there bird hunting. They took them with them. They said that one dog, they'd shoot a bird, and they'd get up, walk out there and get it. That dog would follow them. And then about the 3rd bird he shot, before he could get up, that Lacy went and got it and brought it back to him. So the next day, that littermate started retrieving. They did retrieving, but keeping them with them, and taking them birds. And I knew quite a few people who got Lacys that retrieve.
I don't know if I've ever seen this. They're the deep cuts, and probably nobody else will see this, but I'll tell you, I know their cheat code. When you get a dog over here in the red that won't retrieve and won't listen, that's okay, but you're getting more to like the pen-raised hunting dog you can't do much stuff with. If you find a dog in this range right here, high drive dog right in right here on the cusp of balance, right there. If that dog will retrieve for you and start to take commands from you, that is a powerful tool to have at your disposal.
They tell me that any dog that will retrieve, you can teach them anything.
Okay, well, there you go. See this? See, we sit down, we just think sort of the same stuff from a completely different angle, and then we sit down together and
Yeah.
So I hope y'all are enjoying it. Does it? Actually, it's important that we're having this conversation, Jimmy.
I really appreciate y'all doing this. Could I get some of my opinions out there to a lot more people?
Yeah.
And some of you don't appreciate my opinions. I can tell that from right here. But
No. No. I don't. I think everybody that came here probably came here to see you and see what you have to say. And we're certainly we're gonna document. Hopefully, if the recording doesn't work, we'll do it again. It's. But we had a hard time getting on the schedule here. I want to document some of this stuff, and I think people can learn from this. And actually, I think if anybody's out there and you think that Jimmy's all, maybe off base or off path, I'm going to invite you to say something. I promise you, you could have not combative. I think that's the key word. You can have a disagreement in principle with Jimmy. However, I just think that we got to prove the dogs out before we start having those discussions too much. And we waste a lot of time. And you've got an entire calling world that's built around a field trial. You have completely taken some of the best hunting dogs, retrievers in the world, Labradors, and turned it into a field trial. And the last thing anybody wants to see is a Lacy dog at the Westminster Dog Show. But we need to go a step further. And these dogs need to be proved in real hunting and working situations. Agree or disagree? You like the big pen for training, but I just think that the field trial stuff can get. But I don't know. Maybe there's.
I don't know. I've had a person tell me one time, we don't never want our dog, like I said, in AKC or UKC, then show dogs, they'll ruin the breed. We don't need UKC to train the breed. We've got breeders right here doing a good job already.
Well, I know there is a balance, and I always tell these guys that always say, "I'm papered, I can wipe my ass with them. They're not worth the damn or whatever." And and you're looking at the guy, and you're just like you're having a hard time trusting the guy anyway because he's kind of a rough redneck, and And I always tell him I've tried to help these guys. Listen, I told you I was raised by rough but charming rednecks. Okay, good. Well, as long as we're going to a lot of this is for me and Jimmy. I'm glad that y'all could tune in. We just have to get this conversation. I don't know if y'all can tell. There's just so many started and stopped conversations, and then so many years have passed. Of I go away and try my own thing, and Jimmy's doing his own thing, and then we come back and we talk through it. And
I tell everybody, when you start talking about Lacy dogs or trapping coyotes, I like to have at least a full day because that's a passion on both of them with me.
Oh, you got to teach me to trap a coyote. We've got coyotes here. I have traps. I haven't put the time in. Remember, I'll have to call you for tips. And I got a buddy who might be out here, David Lee. He's trying to trap a mountain lion. Remember I told you about buddy's trying to trap a mountain lion? And I told you. And I went back to David. He said, I'll call you. I'll send you a picture tomorrow. And lions. I was like, I called David. I was like, this guy, he doesn't know. Near what it takes to trap a mountain lion. But anyway, we'll get it. And if it's not, maybe I can go up there and treat it with my dogs. How can we treat? Okay, we talked about the bear thing being doable. This is a legit question. What do you think about a mountain lion?
Lions will tree real easy. I read a story one time about an old boy. They were fixed to go deer hunting. There's pretty deep snow on the ground. They said found mountain lion droppings not too far from the house. I was still smoking. They were still warm. And said old boy broke, run back to the house, got a little three-legged rat terrier. Brought her back and dropped her down there. She treed that lion. Just little
Rat terrier.
Little rat terrier. Old boy said,
Okay, David Lee, I'm coming, brother. We're gonna do this. I'm sorry, I should have said last name. Now I probably.
what happened to her leg? Old boy said, mountain lion bit it off.
Oh, that isn't good.
Lion.
Say number one, stay alive. Yeah, so not recommended, but
Yeah, bobcat bobcats will run for a long way. Mountain lions won't. Mountain lions tree pretty fast.
I got this. I'm telling you, I may not get it done this summer. There's a lot of, the bucket list. I got a lot of stuff I want to do, but treeing a mountain lion place. And I'm not talking about, we got to figure out where it's legal. And I'm not even talking about
predators.
Yeah. I'm not talking about like the long tracks, where you get the hounds out and you're trying to find a mountain lion that's, 10 miles away.
Well, that's cold-nosed hounds.
Cold-nosed hounds. There you go. So Lacy's a hot-nosed dog.
Yeah.
I think that's important too.
And that hound is opening every lick, and that cat knows exactly where the hound's at. That Lacy dog is not saying a word. By the time that lion realizes that Lacy dog's on him, it's too late.
So what Jimmy's saying is Lacy dogs are silent on track?
Yep. Solid track, and they're all, whatever they're after.
I got this mountain lion thing, and all I need is a dumb lion to get too close to me. And I'm not baited or who knows what, but when I get there, if it's close enough, I'm going to put my dog down.
Yep.
And I'll be my own hero. But
I had a buddy out there in Marfa, a lion trapper. He died 2 years ago. And he trapped over 2,000 mountain lions.
Oh, yeah. This is the guy that you're talking about. And I went to find some of his classes or information. What was his name?
Bill Applegate.
Bill Applegate. So I looked him up, and, I didn't really find a class or whatever because I was trying to help my buddy who's trying to trap him. But I've got this plan. Well, we'll see. I'll quit talking. There, I'm being one of those people that I know how to tree a mountain lion with my Lacys. I'll tell you, I've been there and done that.
Luann and them had one. She said, their state knew. They caught a mountain lion and keep coming back forced by the dogs.
I heard that lion that was over.
Oh, really? Luann, can I come by? Can I come by with my dog to prove my point? Oh, anyway.
I was sitting there at town, Pam and Luann was going somewhere, and I heard that lion out there. And I said to Luann, but Luann said she'd call her kittens. She said, I watched her more than once come to the barn, right up behind the dog pens, go back down that canyon. And I loaned my son-in-law took him for lion traps, and he went and set them. She says, come on. I went up there.
By the way, just one quick. By the way, people learn real fast. I get advised to go places, but I'll show up. All right. I just documented Luann. Anyway, sorry, Jimmy. Your daughter owes me. Yeah. The lion on.
But as I rolled up there, I said, my lion trap me called. I was hot and told said, I got him. Said, I went to tracking that drag. It's about a 300-pound boar hog with some big cutters on it. Said he was
the trap?
Yeah. He was not happy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure not.
Dude.
Yeah, I think the bear and lion thing we need to work because if we look at the disciplines we're talking about, Lacy's very well suited for this type of work because you're dealing with animals that's could easily killed, like in the example with that rat terrier. They can kill your dog. And Lacy, what we talked about, the fundamental, basic start of the breed is not get killed. So if we're dealing with stuff that can easily kill a dog, and especially if it's a baying type thing, like even if an animal is treed, I kind of say treeing and baying is the same thing for a Lacy, because they're definitely not like coonhounds where they're only working the grounds. I mean, a Lacy he'll bay it here or there.
Yep. You bay it on the ground or you bay it in the tree.
And so I just think it's this bear and lion is a good place for Lacy dogs possibly. What else have we talked? What about trappers? Was there a lot of people, government trappers, using Lacys anymore? Are they even using dogs anymore?
Well, honestly, there's not very many trappers yet. I wouldn't even call these government heads now trappers. They'll roll, what I understand, they'll roll in there and set snares until you'll be back in 30 days. They'll come back and check their snares. I don't think there's a few trappers left, but not very many. Most of these new ones don't know how to trap.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I've got traps here, but I can trap raccoons. But anybody,
the supervisor in Uvalde district 2 years ago tried to get me and Pam. He tried to hire me back and cut higher pounds. It feels like I can't set the traps. He said, I'll get you some little one.
They were going to hire you back?
Yeah.
See, that's desperation.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, it was a pill having you in the first place. And then, so when they got rid of you, to come back and tell you to come back, they were desperate.
That was very compliment.
That was desperate.
I told him,
I mean, they wanted to hire me too.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. We got to have Jimmy back, but we got to have something to keep Jimmy from being too
he said, I can.
cantankerous.
He said, I told him, I said, I just don't like the paperwork. He said, I'll do the paperwork for you. He said,
It's just the world is now.
He's not pay for trappers anymore.
How do you get a trapper and then you tell him you got an office job? Remember, they used to tell me that the documentation. That's why you had to have a dog. Okay, now I remember. So yes, why do you need a dog? And you have to find every single trap. If you did not find a trap,
Yep.
you had to file an official report.
Yeah, we have to do just about where that equipment, what happened to that equipment.
Every single trap. So that was why you told me really. And so that is a very important thing there. But also the other thing that we talked about with traps is like around here, I can usually attach my trap to something or drive a stake in the ground. But some of the places where you trap,
You couldn't get a stake.
so it's really got to be a drag covered with some sand or whatever, and then the animal's got to just run until it catches the drag on something.
Yeah.
Because there's no place to anchor it at the point of the trap site.
Yeah, you'd hit rock about 2 inches deep.
Yeah. And I don't know, Jimmy. It's just like my brain. I'm even losing my train of thought because it's like so much coming in at one time. I really appreciate you doing this, and I try to be as, because I tried to be as little self-serving as possible. However, y'all gotta know that this is for me. This conversation. It's for you too. This conversation. And conversations like this with senior Lacy dog men and women that have the wisdom, I really appreciate it, Jimmy. I mean, we don't have to be done. I was going to show you my pens.
Like I am about 45 minutes now. I was like, so why didn't I bring up this fact? Or why didn't I mention that? There's always something we'll overlook. But
No.
I really appreciate you doing this. Like I say, it's when you have people commenting.
Well, we've had to thanks y'all for commenting and everything. And I know we got this together short notice and everything.
He says, come on and go do some barbecue and take me.
Oh, I eat,
Hey,
Luann.
you should see the stuff that kid cooked.
You eat there, you'll be really.
Oh, awesome. Looking forward to it. Yeah. So, okay. We may think of other stuff, but I think we're probably getting there, 2 or 3 hours by now. Sorry if it was a little rocky. I'm just happy we got this done. Maybe we'll do it again.
Yeah, appreciate
Jimmy,
y'all.
anything else you want to? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I appreciate y'all staying with us and listening to all this. Hope you got something worth listening to there.
Sort of in conclusion, the Lacy dogs that we have today are the Lacy dogs that we have today.
That's exactly right.
There's a lot of effort spent going back to, what was the Lacy Dog Ranch, whatever. The Lacy dog always has been, to me, ever since I got involved in the breed, a working hunting breed. So a Lacy dog is, got to be a Lacy dog, got to be, genetically mapped to other Lacy dogs. But it's got to be successful. It's got to be successful, or it needs to kind of be sidelined and not procreated. We need to breed the best working hunting dogs. And that does not mean they have to have train wreck temperaments. We've covered that up and down here in this conversation. We need a decent temperament. We want a high drive dog. But this is not just about stupid aggression. We've covered that pretty clearly. Yeah, the dogs get killed.
You breed the best to the best, and you're going to get some good dogs. And as far as a wolf, or cotter ending, he was my cow, that's been bred out of them so long ago. Apparently, the Lacy brothers wasn't too happy with what the wolf contributed to the breed, because they started breeding the wolf out of them. Almost, what I understand, almost immediately, they started breeding the wolf out of them. So the wolf has been gone
So we're 100% in wolf, not coyote territory. I just want to make sure that we're very clear that this is a topic that comes up a lot. And and John Gibbs sent me an article. John Gibbs' family told him. So this is on multiple angles. I know this coyote is a popular idea, but we're calling it wolf. And do you think that some of the temperament issues we're seeing are due to the wolf genetics? Some of the feral behavior. I had a trainer call me one time. This guy was a trainer, unsuspecting trainers get into the Lacy breeds and they get waylaid.
Yeah.
But this one trainer, he sent me a message looking for help, and he said the dog he said, I don't understand it. It's feral. So do you think that's still wolf genetics?
I think the wolf's been bred out of them so long.
Here again, it does not matter. What matters is we take your dogs out there and do something with them, record it and share it, and then we can have a conversation. But I would say the more conversations you have without actually doing some action, the more likely your conversation is going to get wrong and keep going in a certain direction. And then you get a group of people wrong going in a certain direction, and field trial. And then next thing you know, it's just you're off base, and it happens. This is not a fear that I'm just fabricating. We went through the Labrador, the field trial world in the retrieving industry. We went through it in the hog hunter. Hog hunters are real. No, there a lot of them think that bait pinning is all that, and that's. I think it's okay, but it's a rodeo thing. I'm a cattleman, but I don't ride bulls. So it's like, if you want to get in the pen with a hog and have some fun, that's fine. But I'm going to go out there and try to get that hog when it's not in the pen.
Yeah, there's a world of difference.
I don't understand, man. But that's nothing. You got anything else on your mind? Anything you looked over? Anybody else out there? Let's go look at.
Appreciate y'all participating in this other conversation and looking over me and Sean. And there's nothing else. We can sit here and talk about this.
Oh, we're about to go look at the pens. We're about to get into the laboratory. We're heading to the lab. Thank you.
Carry this on a little further.
All right.
Thank y'all much.